Hey everybody, welcome. In this video, I have brought some of the dev team from Andaron Saga and Rebellion Saga and a few playtesters together, and we are going to be we're going to be looking at the rankings of the Andaron Saga and Rebellion Saga maps. A little while back, there was a survey that we rolled out on our Discord. I think over 1,000 people participated, and what they did was they ranked each of the maps from 1 to 10. So we have very good data now about which are the good maps and which are the bad maps. So joining me here is Donlot. Hello.
Hello, Donlot here.
And Clockinator.
Hey guys, I wrote the script.
And Lemon Tart.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Lemon Tart actually designed a lot of the maps in Andaron Saga. And we have Nameless the Goat.
Hello.
And Norian Guy.
Lead playtester reporting for duty.
Potterino.
Sup, guys?
And PH.
Sup, guys?
And Sev.
Hello, everyone.
So, prepared today, we have a bit of a slideshow, and this slideshow is going to show us basically we're going to start with the worst maps of Andaron Saga, and then we're going to make our way up to the top 10 until we get to the best map, and then we're going to look at all the maps from Rebellion Saga, and then we're going to see the total ranking for Andaron Saga and the total ranking for Rebellion Saga. So, if we click this... stop. The next slide is going to be the best map. Oh, okay, alright. Oh, I pressed the wrong button, didn't you? Oh, try the other... Oh, no, there we go.
Well, this is off to a great start.
Mangs knew he was gonna screw up.
I did a trolling here.
Alright, so I want to ask all of you. I think this one's going to be pretty unanimous. Donlot, which map do you think is going to be the worst in Andaron Saga?
Chapter 5.
Clock?
I think probably Chapter 5, but my least favorite Skillas map.
Lemon Tart?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say maybe. I feel like Chapter 16 was kind of plain.
Nameless?
Chapter 5.
Norian?
Chapter 5, it's the most hated map.
Potterino?
Chapter 5.
PH?
So, the most hated map is of course the Death Battle, but it's
really?
not in the rankings.
Oh, okay.
True.
It
Death
was
Battle.
not in the poll. But the most hated map is the Tomb of Horror.
Sev?
I'm actually going to agree with PH here. I think it's probably Tomb of Horrors, because it's the community ranking.
Right, okay. Let's see which map is the worst in Andaron Saga. It is Chapter 5! With an average score of 548. 548. Boy, I think PH, I was the one who designed this map initially, and then I think you made changes to it, but this is my map.
Yeah, your version was very cruel and extremely hard.
It was.
I was the only one who could beat it. I liked it, but then I made it a different puzzle which was much easier.
This
and then
is...
I tried to do some changes related to the dawn color, but that didn't work out well. And there is changes coming to that for Andaron Saga.
Yeah, in Andaron Saga Definitive Edition, we're going to make a B version of this map, but I don't think people realize how nerfed this map is. This is by far the most nerfed map in Andaron Saga. We nerfed it. I don't think it's an understatement to say we nerfed it more than 10 times. We made
I
it
remember
easy.
the original version of this map.
The rankings are based on actual gameplay instead of just aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's
to be this map or Chapter 17, yeah.
The rankings are just how much did you enjoy the chapter. So, basically,
Yeah,
people rated it from 1 to 10 based on how much they enjoyed it. So, so 548 means that it was... I mean, it's still very bad. It means most people rated it.
In that case, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks really out. A lot of backtracking as well. Kind of. It's like you're running around a lot.
I was one of the final playtesters spot on for Andaron Saga, and this map was still being nerfed 2 to 3 weeks before release of the game.
It's crazy how many times we nerfed it. It's ridiculous. I kind of want to release the... I mean, we did release the early beta version of Andaron Saga. I don't remember if the chapter was difficult there or what it was.
Yes,
It
we
was.
did. I took a look at it, but it's my first version.
Yeah?
It's not your abomination.
Yeah. That I think we can still fish it out from the archives, because we saved our
Yes,
version.
we can.
So we could try and locate the the worst, like the absolute first version of this map, which was insane. It was absolutely crazy hard. So, but yeah,
There's
I think
also
the big
something
issue-
interesting before that we can think about. For
I
want to
hear Donlot. Donlot, what were you saying, Donlot?
I think the big issue with this map is Fire Emblem is a game where you want to have as many units as possible, so you have more tools available, more ways to tackle issues, and in this map you just have very little.
Low manning has never worked in Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Ever. It's not a low man game.
I could summarize my own
Exactly.
issues with the map. The first issue is that it's basically a playable cutscene with just 2 characters. That, of course, sucks. It's a really small map, but at the same time, it feels really big when you've got only 2 units.
Yeah.
You got a lot of enemies that are really generic. The final boss of the chapter is nothing at all. It's just a generic terror. There's no story playthrough or anything like that. So you're basically just playing a Bod and Alon to Bond map, and it's basically the Black Knight and Micaiah again.
Yeah, it's. I even received pushback from the devs when I made this chapter initially. They were like, "Don't do it, and
Not for me.
no, PH liked it, but the rest of the devs were like, "Don't put this chapter in the game." And I wanted it so badly, I just kind of pushed it through, and it was the most hated chapter as a result. So, yep, I should have listened to the devs. I guess made something different.
I'd like to point out that I actually think this chapter is totally serviceable. Like, you could totally fix this chapter with just a few small tweaks. For example, if you just had some reinforcements like Jaka and maybe a couple other units show up on like turn 3 or turn 4, like they heard Bod went into the mountains, I think that right there would solve probably most of the issues. And then you could increase the difficulty a bit too with some more units added.
And that's exactly what we're going to do in Definitive Edition. We're going to add a B version of this map where Baudemon does not go with Ailanda, and instead he goes later, and then like you come in later and she's like trapped in one of the buildings or something. So we're gonna give people like a B version of this map where you get to use more units. The original version is gonna be there for those few people who did enjoy it, but most of the other people can just skip it. Okay, so yeah, all right.
It's also worth noting on this map, for Dawncaller versus no Dawncaller, it's also a very different playthrough.
True.
No Dawncaller on this map is way harder, I think, personally. And because also you don't get the stat bonus from inserting the Dawncaller into the pillar.
True.
It's just a way different map for sure.
I think the ideal, in Definitive Edition, I think the ideal route to go would be to take this if you have Dawncaller and then B route if you don't. That could have been a nice split otherwise, but, you know, so... But yeah,
It takes a while till Zacharias joins as well. So you have to go
true.
through.
If Zacharias was available right from the start, I think a lot of people would have liked this chapter more. If he was like blue from the beginning.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go on to the second most hated map of Andaron Saga, and that is Chapter 19, Call
Thank you.
of the Void, with an average
thank you.
score of 622. Boy, this map. This is another one of my maps. This was one of the first...
Sounds like a pattern.
Yeah, so this was one of the maps. I remember making this map. I'm not going to say it was one of my first maps that I made. I made a couple maps before. This was the first map that I think I made the entirety of with very little input from the rest of the dev team. So this one really is another one of my creations. And it shows. I think it shows my early map designing skills were not great here. This map is even altered a little bit. It used to be way worse. You see that little middle you see those, like, between those, there's a little river. There's, like, 2 lakes. And there's a little pathway that goes... That didn't even used to be there. So you had to go the long way around, which really annoyed a lot of people. We changed that. I don't know how recently we changed it, but we changed it at some point. And I think the reason people didn't like this map, first of all, is I think the Fog of War is just very oppressive here. I think that's mostly what annoyed people. I don't know about you guys. Anyone have anything they want to say about this map?
I think
I am the resident
biggest
hater
issue
of
is
this
the stone.
map.
Yeah, Clonk first and then Donlot.
Okay, so as the resident hater of this map, the first thing is it's absolutely ginormous.
Yeah.
It's way too huge. It takes forever to traverse, even with all the units. You're, once again, got the same issue as before. You're mostly fighting like really generic kind of enemies. They're all very samey. You get like, what do you get? Dark magic users, you get the monsters. It's got the same issue as Chapter 5 in that regard. At the very end of the map, you have a really long, protracted battle, which, by the way, same kind of battle mechanics as several other bosses in the game, where you got to destroy the MacGuffins, then you can kill the boss. But also, you have to like spread your army out across the map if you want to get all the chests and stuff. So it forces you to split up and explore the entire map before finally converging. You don't really feel like you can skip most of it.
Yeah, true. What about you, Donlot?
I would pretty much agree with what Clock said. The one thing I always really disliked as well, though, was that you have Gorgons with stone on here.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have a restore staff, you were kind of just fucked.
Yeah, I think PH added the Matrona staff just because of this chapter, didn't you, PH?
Indeed.
Yeah, that's why you created it. So, what do you think about this chapter, PH?
Well, I think it's a fun exploration chapter. The issue with exploration chapter, and it's going to come back multiple times, I think, in this poll, is that not many people like them.
Yeah, I guess so. All right,
I expect.
Yeah.
If I were to compare this chapter to another giant chapter, I would say that a big difference is that there's nothing that actually happens mid-chapter. Like, if you look at some of the other chapters, you'll have, like, Alexander shows up at some point, or some other really interesting character shows up, or something happens.
It's very monotonous. There's just
very
terrors.
straightforward.
Yeah, the very first cave chapter had Boogie show in one of the eggs.
Yeah, it had some. It broke up the monotony with some fun events, whereas this one has nothing. It's just spiders and witches.
It has like that one event at the start.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who you just need to feel?
Oh, but I have a feeling. I actually have a feeling that cave chapter is going to be pretty low on the ranking as well, Lementard. So we'll see when that shows up. I'm expecting it to show up pretty soon, actually.
Yeah, chapter 19 was.
Yeah, I can see how people like that as well.
Yeah, PH.
This chapter was my worst rated chapter, actually, but tied with many others at 6.
Really? Wow.
I think the boss battle is very good.
Yeah, the phase 2 skill fight is fun, I think, but just getting there.
No one, forgets the part where they got silenced or slept and died before.
Yeah. I don't dislike the skill fight. In fact, I also like it for story purposes because she has lots of really fun secret conversations with other characters. So,
I will say though, I think it's a shame that Helga and Sigrid are so bad against Skilla.
Yeah,
that they should be strong, like, because she has a boatload of res. So, and Helga and Sigrid are magic units. So, like, you will only see her dialogue with Sigrid if you go out of your way to, like, deal zero damage to her and maybe hope Sigrid survives the counterattack. I think in Definitive Edition, we should definitely redesign her a bit.
There is a way to address that.
Yeah?
What we could do is give them, when you kill the portals, for example, we could give one use Lunatomes for them.
Yeah, something like that, just to make Helga and Sigrid contribute a bit more in this fight. I think is important.
We can give them one use Luna Diesel Tomes, for example.
Yeah,
Boom.
absolutely.
Now they can attack.
All right. Well, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to go through these a little quickly, else we'll be here all night. So, up next is the third most hated chapter of Andaron Saga. It is Chapter 21, Trial by Fire.
The first PH chapter in there.
That is indeed. Yeah, you made this chapter, didn't you? You really did.
Well, not really. It's a chapter you struggled with, and you gave it to me early.
True. I made this chapter first. PH played it, said it was terrible, redesigned it.
I can give my one sentence summary of this chapter. I don't remember it, and it's boring.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually think that gameplay-wise, I actually like this chapter a lot. I enjoy the process of making my way through it. I also like how, depending on how you kill the bosses in this chapter, it changes the next chapter. Like, you leave Embla alive, you get her as a boss in the next chapter. You leave Leonora alive, you get Leonora. I think stuff like that is really cool.
I think this chapter may actually be rated so lowly, and this is just my opinion on it, of course, because it is almost the most filler chapter of the game story-wise, where it is literally just, we are going to the actual fight, here's a fight before the fight.
True.
The best mirror.
What was that, Pederina?
Mostly for the arc, it's a problem. Also, gameplay-wise, I think it's something from the earlier chapter. You have it a lot of times that your units clutter at one position because it's kind of like in the bottom right at the start. If you go to the left, you have this one tile bridge that you have to go over, and all your units have to pile back to the start of the map.
True.
And this gives a really weird feeling to play.
Yeah, it's not the best.
I think another one last
this is not
final
you are
that I would add.
play, of course.
We'll do Clock first and then PH.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the one last final demerit that I would add is just it's another lava map. There's so many lava maps in Tibet. They're all lava maps, and aesthetic-wise, it's really boring to see like the same exact tile set.
Yeah.
Was it 2 or 3 times in a row? Yeah.
This is the only duplicate. Like we almost never reuse tile sets in Andaron Saga. We use different tile sets for almost every map, but this is one example where we use the same tile set twice in a row, and I think that sticks out. So,
Yes.
PH, you wanted
Yeah.
to say something?
One thing about this rating is that this is a chapter we have endlessly, talked bad about in streams.
Yeah, true.
And I think we have certainly influenced a bit the rating on this one. in
Maybe.
particular.
Maybe. It might definitely affect it a little bit, but I don't
Like-
think it's entirely the reason it got
Like,
rated
I
so
have
lowly.
said on every draft stream, on basically every stream, that this was the chapter I was the least satisfied with among the one I worked on.
Yeah, true.
That being said, I expect chapter 16 to show up soon as well, which is exactly in the same situation of being a chapter you started with,
Yeah, for sure.
and I had to finish.
Anyone
This
else?
chapter does have something that's a little bit interesting to it. At least if you go the Ash route and you get Ash, she can visit the churches. She can do something that only she can do. She gets her fire spirits. It's a bit more interesting that way compared to just having Miriam or not using either of them. Ash can at least do something unique here.
Yeah, she can. She has unique dialogue in all the buildings here, which is it's not something a lot of people are going to see because they didn't blast in Chapter 7.
Yeah. Seeing Ash recruited is rare, especially if you don't have a blast unit or if you don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I think in Definitive Edition we should make it. Ash and Miriam should be an A-B route thing instead of like whether
Yeah,
you blast Leonora. You can get
Definitely
something
handshake
different
on
if you
that.
blast Leonora, I think.
So this would be like the Ash chapter because she's got so much fun, unique
Yeah,
stuff
like
here,
if you
and
have
then a
Ash, you
different
go
one for-
here, and then we're going to make a B version of this. This is actually one of the chapters we will make a B version of, and maybe you get Miriam if you go B version. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we start from a different angle because Miriam knows a better way.
Could be. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Well,
we're
we're already
moving on.
17 minutes in. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be here a while. Moving
Why
on to the next
Togoporo?
map. We'll see. It might show up very soon. Next chapter is going to be... Yes! Okay, here we go. Chapter 6, Nest of Terrors. Ooh, okay.
Maybe I'm weird because I actually like this one.
I do too!
Yeah, same.
Status effects.
Yeah.
I think the status.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
So
It's too early in the game. You don't really have Matrona and status restore stage.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna have 2 or 3 of you dudes.
Also,
silence or
mermaids
sleep at the same time.
Mermaids dance. They dance.
yeah.
I think this
Yeah,
map can
that
be
caught a
fixed.
lot of people off guard.
Noringai?
I think this map can be fixed. The Oof cut, where he cut one of the middle parts that you have open area.
Yeah. Just make the middle path actually go through and have it be viable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
could even make the middle path cut up through the middle and stop at the water, so only a flyer can get through. But then you don't have to use up a rescue staff to get someone out of there. You can just use a flyer.
We don't have flyers.
you don't have flyers at that point, except in randomizers.
Oh, I thought you're right.
You know the superb randomizer. We
Yeah,
made
you don't
when
get
we
flyers
Dragonite?
until the next chapter is true. Yeah, I don't know. I like this one. I can see why people don't like it though.
Yep.
The
was a
eggs
fog
are
of
a really
war,
nice mechanic
but
in this
we-
one for sure, though.
Yeah, except they don't hatch. They should hatch, I think.
Yes,
But they're a
visual
nice
match.
experience for your units for sure. All right, let's move
I
on
don't-
to the next
I don't
one.
really have a lot
Let's
to say about that one.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it's a nice little map, but I see why people don't like it. Up next, we have Chapter 16.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh boy. So, I want to start off by saying this chapter was completely redesigned. The initial version that I made, you can kind of see the skeleton of it still, but it's been very changed. In the initial version of this chapter, you had Halfdan and a bunch of green units holding out against a wave of enemies. Kind of similar to how Chapter 4 in Andaron's Rebellion Saga works, where you have the Steel Knights fighting the Centaurs, and you had to basically reach Halfdan to end the map. But you couldn't use flyers here. They were completely, they couldn't fly. It was kind of the story of this map was that, the winds are too strong for them to fly or whatnot. But it sucked. No one liked it. And so it got redesigned to this. This was PH redesign. And I think PH did a good job in redesigning it, but it still didn't really click. So PH, what do you think people didn't like this map much?
Oh, there is two reasons. Fog of War, of course, there is a blizzard, and Tyrann Birka, which are absolutely terrifying boss at this point in the game, which kills so many players.
Is losing Halfdan a game over? I think it is.
The issue with this chapter is that at first it starts easy, then it quickly goes into, you know, lack of vision and strong enemies, and players dislike losing. They dislike to lose, and this chapter is made to kill units.
True.
Not to make you lose, but to kill your units.
I actually quite like this chapter. I've never really had an issue with it. Actually, I will say I have one issue. It kind of drags on a little too long. I think it needs to have like 1 or 2 turns shaved off.
Agreed. Yeah, it's long.
I think, yeah, it can get long because when you get to the last part where you have to kill Birka, some people takes a long time. We often do this over 2 or 3 turns, but so some people like takes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 turns to do it.
True, yeah, it is. It can stretch on.
It starts to drag.
Also, the boots on the Myrmidon that dies on turn 1. PH, do you know how angry this makes people when you do that?
Oh, I love this so much.
But you do know that people get seriously pissed off when you put boots on a unit that dies on turn 1.
Yes.
Because people...
I think it's hilarious.
It is kind of funny, but like it angers...
I say skill issue.
It angers... Oh, you can get it. You can get the boots if you play right.
I know, that's why I love it. Because I love the challenge of trying to get those boots.
Yeah.
Just
You know,
use warp stave.
This is something that angers people, but this is also something that makes people replay.
I guess so, yeah.
I will not apologize for this.
But yeah,
Don't
I
apologize.
mean, this map does have things that annoy people. Green units and Fog of War. Those are like the recipes for making people upset. So
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that you have Elfnir or Sigrid, you gotta be extra careful with because they've been fishy with how all the enemies that are showing up here.
true, you get 2 training units and it's Fog of War, so they're very likely to get sniped.
I will
This
note
is
that
a chapter where it definitely feels like you don't get punished for splitting up your army, but people feel like you need to split up more than you really need to, so they get overwhelmed by the reinforcements just by the sheer how big the map is and how much they spread out their army.
True.
I will also note that the bottom 3 ranked maps in Andaron Saga all had either completely generic, nameless monster bosses, or that one generic Ignatius guy who basically is nobody. So we'll see how that carries through.
All right. Well, moving on to the next map, unless anyone has anything they want to say.
Yep. Halfdan is a
Narain?
game over. Halfdan is a game over, so that's also kind of an issue.
It shouldn't be, right? He shouldn't be game over. He should just retreat.
Oh, come on, he never dies unless you really misplay.
I guess
Yeah,
so.
bad. But one small thing that is also quite nice on the map, you get some tools for the next chapters that you can use really well, like the Holy Axe on the bottom right, or like other holy weapons.
True. Yeah. You get a lot of... And if you keep all the villages alive, you get like drenched in rewards here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next map, and it is... Chapter 23, Styxian Sands.
I expected to see that one as well. So this is part of the tree of chapters that I had to redesign.
Yeah.
This is the final one. And this chapter, in one word, dancers.
Yeah, I agree. This chapter, I think, would have been done very well. Not like top 10 well, but it would have been probably somewhere in the middle if the dancers were not here.
Yes, so for the dancers, evidently they will be back, but only in the form of unique foe challenge, I think.
I agree. If we add challenge modes, we should only put the dancers in.
I mean, come on, we are adding.
Or we could let them be in, but they just don't dance outside of challenge mode. They're there, but they don't dance.
I think we can all agree the real reason.
Yeah, Donlot, go first.
As well would be, this is kind of the point of the game where it slowly starts to drag out a little.
Yeah.
The length. I think that contributes as well.
Yeah, this chapter does drag a little bit.
Well, no, I mean the game itself, because you have so many chapters.
True, yeah. Yeah, you get like chapter fatigue almost. Clock, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say probably one of the biggest reasons this chapter is rated so low is because Varg has that bro talk with the brigands.
It is kind of
And everyone
bad.
cringes
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, but then you replay and you're like, oh yeah, no wonder people think this game has a weird tonal whiplash.
I don't really know if that alone. I think when people rank maps, they don't may necessarily not remember like specific dialogues. I think it's just how the chapter made them feel overall. And
I think it's also because of a desert map.
it's a desert
Nature
map.
of
I mean, it's a light desert map. The only calves get slowed down, calves and armors, but still, you have nomads and dancers. Those are two things that just people don't like.
Also,
Even worse
one
than that,
thing,
something I'm surprised.
Yes, Seb?
Something I'm surprised nobody's mentioned yet. It's a desert map and it's an escort map with the green units.
True. Green units seems to be a recurring trend here. Noreen?
Also, 2% of players might experience a bad surprise with Ahmed.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the
yes.
Ahmed secret event where he charges off.
It's so bad.
Yeah, that was
Ahmed
not good.
killed my Zarian in my Iron Man. I remember.
Oh my god, yeah, that's not good. I think I'm tempted to remove the secrets in Definitive Edition. They only piss people off. So
Yes, this was a terrible idea.
it was, and it was 100% me. The devs.
Yes, so all those
I liked it.
secret events need to be hidden beyond the challenge mode.
Agreed.
All the secret events need to be it's morting time tier, and that's it.
That's the only secret I've had.
This is my favorite one.
Really, you like this one?
It's morting time. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
love
like
it
the
so much.
morning
I made
time
it 1 in
one.
500%.
Okay. All right. Up next, we have the next map, and it is. Oh, here it is.
there we go.
Here it is. Here it
Well,
is.
The only good thing I have to say is that Chapter 32 is probably the last Fog of War map left.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I'm really surprised. I thought this was going to be like half the player base gave it a 10, half gave it a 1, and it would be like in the middle of the rankings.
So, Clock, you're actually right on that. So when I went through the rankings, I didn't see the results. I don't know the results, but I did look at Tomb of Horrors. It was 1s and 10s everywhere. 110,
Oh, wow.
110, 111, 10 10 10, 111, 9 9 2, 9 2, 111, 10 10 10.
I gave it a 6.
Yeah.
I gave it a 4.
So most people either loved or hated this map. And I'm surprised it's not rated lower, honestly. 6.6 is higher than I thought it would get rated.
All those scores are very close though.
True.
But I think this map is fine. Sure, there is a lot of gimmicks people might not like. I don't like them either, but I think it's fine.
The
I
random
have no
curses
issue with
does piss people off because they're so unpredictable.
Like, if there was something that was way too hard or way too annoying, I would have prevented you from it.
Yeah.
But there is tools to deal with all the issues on this map, if planned properly, can be finished in about 4 or 5 turns. So I think there is no issue.
There was
with this
one
map.
curse that I removed. It made Jaka and Darius go berserk.
I remember that.
Yes.
Curse of Madness, I think it was called.
I found it hilarious, but
It's,
I
yeah.
remember that one.
I'm glad it didn't make it into the game. I think that would have really pissed people off.
so
That
I'll
being
just,
said,
Hmm?
most people are going to try to get the Void Flare.
True.
And this is where the map starts to break a bit, because this is actually a grueling task.
It is, yeah. 5, you gotta kill 5 shards. And then Nemesis.
Yes. And explores that wall map with walls changing, on status effect, on...
The eyes.
It's a lot.
Devil eyes really pissed people off. Even though they were lunatic only, people hated the devil eyes. The eyes that would backfire on you.
Oh my god, what mechanic.
So, I would just throw a couple things out there. Mengs, I do believe you said you were going to make a B version of this map, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So the other thing too is I've been thinking for my own version, what if you made it so that way some of the Lightbringer characters like Dawn, Zacharias, I don't think Alond is playable here, but you know, some of those characters and a couple others, you could make it so they have unique interactions with the map and have ways to negate some of the more bullshit mechanics. Like
That's
maybe,
actually, that's a great idea. Like Zacharias could, like, when a wall changes, Zacharias could be like No.
No.
And then like
Or-
he opens it up or something.
Dawn
Yeah.
holds up the Dawn collar and she like dispels
I
some
think
of
that
the
would be
fog.
more like Dawn to prevent the walls. For Zacharias, I feel like he will just use Boon or something.
I guess we could show as a little bit of a treat to those who are watching the video. So the first concept art of the alternate map of Tomb of Horrors just came in, and I have to specify this map may change. It might change a lot, but this is how it takes place in Kadim.
Ooh. So this is a new Tomb of Horrors?
This is the B map of the Tomb of
Oh,
Horrors.
the B map.
Yeah, so if you don't go to Tomb of Horrors, you go to Kadim instead. Well, we'll figure out some explanation as to why they go. We'll figure something out. But the idea is like a battle on the rooftops. So it's just a little treat for those watching. I'm not saying the chapter is necessarily going to look like this. It's just the first draft of it. But
Astute viewers may realize that looks oddly familiar to a certain epilogue scene from Rebellion Saga.
Yes. So, but anyway, back to Tomb of Horrors. This is one of the maps I knew would be unpopular, and I put it in the game anyway. A little bit selfish, I think, but I like Tomb of Horrors. I'm not gonna lie, it's the reason I wanted to make a game. I knew that if I ever made a Fire Emblem hack, I wanted a Tomb map like this. This is the reason I made Andaron Saga, is to make Tomb of Horrors. I knew it wasn't going to go over well with most people. I knew I was going to get pushback, but I did it anyway. I guess selfish of me, right?
Yeah,
No.
well, again, half the
It's your
people
hack.
love
You get
it,
to be a
half
little
them hate
selfish
it.
every now and then.
What's that, Lemon?
It's your hack. You get to be a little selfish with it every now and then.
True. Clock?
Like I said, half the people hated it, half the people loved it. So you made the hack for the half the people who loved it.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Anyone has anyone they want to say, or should we move on?
Yeah, question actually.
This
Do you-
is my
Yeah,
worst
Norian and
rated-
then Potterino.
This is my worst rated map at 4.
Yeah? Wow. And
Yeah,
Potterino?
Do you think like the scoring was influenced by people who have actually played Tomb of Horrors in D&D, or?
I don't know. I mean, it is a reference, I guess, to the Tomb of Horrors map, but very few people. I mean, I don't think a lot of people have actually played Tomb of Horrors in D&D. That's a very low
it's a
percentage.
real
That's a
module.
low percentage of people, because that's like 2nd edition Gary Gygax D&D. That's like ancient history. So they may have heard of it, but I don't think they've necessarily played the module.
I think one final thing on this one. I think something a lot of people really didn't like with the curses is the randomness that you just can't prepare for. Even if
Yeah.
you're a really astute player, you are taking consideration all that stuff. If you're getting slammed with it turn after turn of just the worst thing possible for your team, you can't account for it, even with all your planning.
And some of the
You
curses
can.
are super oppressive, others are not, right? You can get slammed with everyone is silenced at the absolute worst time. Or you can get, oh no, monsters get an extra hit. Like, it's like,
Well,
Hmm?
about silence, it's your fault for not having a balanced team between man and woman.
true, it silences males and females independently, so you want a 50-50 split, basically. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, there is a joke there that I won't make, but
But yes, it
I
punishes
think
you
we
if you
should
just have
always
women.
stick to our vision.
Yeah,
I
true.
think it's important to stick to your vision and do what you want or what you enjoy.
And this
Like-
is the one thing I've noticed about people who, like, there's one thing that I've noticed a lot of people who complain about this map just do not do. Torches. Torch. Good players constantly pop torches with their units when they don't have anything better to do, and they use illuminate staves to light up the tomb. Bad players, they just forget about torches, they move into the darkness, and they die. It is such a big difference in how people play. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I actually played this map recently. Someone gave me their own save file, and
Yeah.
I wanted to prove that this map's not as bad as everyone said. I played through this map with a torch staff on someone else's save file. I completely forgot to bring status restoring staves, and I still trashed the map easily. As long as you're lighting up where you're going, very easy to beat the map, because you're not getting surprised by
because
anything.
all the enemies and most, like 90% of the monsters in the Tomb of Horrors, they have like 3 move. They're super slow. So if you just light up the path, you won't die. Even Nemesis is like very slow at first, even though he does speed up.
Yes. Yeah, Nemesis is maybe a bit too hard for normal on hard mode player, despite the fact he's ultra nerfed in this mode.
True. Yeah.
I think in normal mode, Nemesis shouldn't get movement increasing over time. It should just be 5 movement.
Agreed, Clock. That is a change we
Agreed.
should make. Yeah, I agreed. He should be stuck at like 2 move on normal mode. Absolutely. So, anyway, let us move on to the next map ranking, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're still in the bottom 10, I think, but let's see what comes next.
We're 34
It is
minutes in.
Chapter 25, Lich's Requiem. What?
Okay,
This
I
makes
disagree with
sense.
that one.
What?
This is
So-
a literal skill issue.
Yes,
Th-
this is
I-
literal skill issue.
This is one of my favorite maps in the game. I think it is one of our finest.
I know.
I agree.
I know exactly why this is so low. It's because staves get disabled in the first half and people die. That's why.
Just
That's the
use
only
your
reason. it's gotta
elixirs.
be.
You have like 200 of them at this point.
You
Little
also get
wings. What if I
200 of
need them for later?
This is I think this is one of the best maps we made, personally. This is one of my favorites, both from a narrative perspective, from a feel perspective. I love the idea of having Jaka and Darius like fight for their lives in the throne room where everyone is like trying to get them out. I think it's one of the funniest Ahmed scenes where he like asks Helga to kill him so he can respawn next to Darius. It's such a funny moment. The only thing I don't
Yes.
like is Kepri feels like an afterthought in this map. She should have
Yes,
been more
I
central.
agree.
Yes.
Kepri should have been more useful. She feels like a complete afterthought. She doesn't do anything.
I
What
was
do you
thinking-
mean by Kepri feels like an afterthought in this map? You didn't need to add that last part.
True, but but considering most units are very important to the map they join in, they usually have some kind of role to serve. Kepri, this is like what we talked about. It would be cool if she could still use staves. Of course, I don't know how we do that mechanically.
Yes, I have an idea with that.
Yeah?
With Vividero, I thought we could make a command skill where she heals and restores.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Something that goes beyond staves. She just heals and restores directly someone.
Yeah. But no, I really, really like this map. I think I always look forward to playing it. It's also like it doesn't take super long to clear if you know what you're doing. It can drag on though if you're indecisive.
It's very stressful. People really, really stress on this map. Like I have talked about this chapter on the Discord, and yeah, many people that play on lower difficulties, they are stressed out of their life on this one.
Yeah, which is interesting.
It's
'cause,
very hard to manage the range of the dragons.
yeah,
and
the 3
clock-
dragons that are next to the boss on this map, they have killed a lot of players.
on the clock that is put on Kangax is very rough for hard mode or normal mode players. It's way too hard. It needs
Probably,
to
yeah.
be.
Anyone
Even
else?
though it's much
Anyone
more
else have
easier.
anything they want to say about this map?
It might
I
be
would
also
definitely
Sev,
by
Potterino,
Top
and then
of
Clock.
Horrors.
Yeah, Sev first.
I think probably the thing that gets people the most on this one is they try to brute force the bottom half rather than going around the sides and taking a little bit longer time. They try to force their way through the dragons and they just get overwhelmed and frustrated by it because they're not using their materials properly for it.
Pat?
Also, most people play the chapter after chapter 24. Might also be that when the length people have played a long chapter before. It's like
Yeah.
the last 10 chapters of Andaron Saga are so long. They really
It's true.
takes a lot of brain capacity. And on Tomb of Horrors, you got the ring for Capri, and that's why the afterthought might get a bit off for most of the people.
Yeah,
They
agreed.
do this gruesome task to get the ring. For some people, it is really a gruesome task, and then they get a unit that nothing goes on with it.
True.
Basically.
True. Yeah, Kepri needs something to really put her apart, and you should be able to give the ring directly to her in this chapter to give her a buff, I think. Kepri just needs love in the definitive edition for sure. Clock, do you want to say something?
So I was just gonna say, I remember at one point we had this idea and we couldn't do it because of a lack of flags. But now that we know that we can use like a dummy character stat for
Yeah.
flags, I think we can do it. Have Ahmed talk to the boss multiple times every time you summon him. Have the funny conversations going. I think people really liked that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was an idea that Ahmed was gonna have like 10 battle quotes against Kongux or something. I like that idea.
Every time he dies, he keeps saying a new one. It's like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god, shut up.
It's-
Clock.
Hmm?
To answer to something, we are now with monks. We are much better at coding. Like we have way more experience than when we made chapter 25. something like flag is no longer restricted.
We have infinite flags now. Infinite.
Yeah, I figured as much because I remember I read someone talked about how you can have like a character's strength stat,
Tile
and
changes
that you
too.
can just pick it up one by one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, tile changes too. You can have an invisible tile change and tie that to a battle quote. It's super easy. But
Oh, wow,
yeah,
I didn't even know that. That's crazy. Go ahead.
yeah, no, infinite flags now. It's not going to be a problem. Not going to be a problem at all. Anyway, anyone else have anything they want to say before we move on? Nope. All right, let us move on. So now we're getting out of the bottom pile of the map, and we're moving kind of into the. This is game rank 25. So now we're going to go on to the 24th most popular map, and it is Sea Skirmish. Okay,
I'm not surprised.
it belongs in the middle. It belongs in the middle.
Yep. I think I could summarize this map. It's kind of easy. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like hard. There are like the bosses are kind of difficult, sort of. I remember Thor's before we nerfed him because he was just like a meme reference. Thor's was impossible to kill, right? But
Just-
other
yeah.
than that, it's basically a catch-up map where you can like finally. This is probably the only one in the game that I really think of when I think of a catch-up map,
Yeah.
where your weak units can improve and get stronger and everything. And from a story perspective, there's not a lot really going on.
No.
Barrett has a few different conversations. Bjarki does, but other than that, it's just like the generic berserkers you have to kill, and then you move on.
Yep. And Sigmar is a character that some people like, but other people hate. He's a bit of a controversial character. Some people think it's super funny. Other people are like, why'd you put Andrew Tate in the game?
Because he was a meme at the time, before he was in Romanian jail.
True, true.
My big issue with this map, I would say, is you had chapter 14 just beforehand, and if you're gonna have deaths, it's probably gonna be there.
Yeah.
And if you do have a very weak team, you can be absolutely overwhelmed by this chapter.
True.
Believe it or not,
Yeah, it can sneak up on you.
it can really sneak up on you. You don't expect it sometimes, and then suddenly you don't kill enough enemies at once, and you're completely overwhelmed.
True.
So I could see why some people may not like that.
We talked about the
Yes.
idea in New Dawn of, or New Dawn, I'm saying, Definitive Edition. We talked about the idea of making this a kill 3 bosses map instead of defend. Which I think, and once you kill a boss, you cut off reinforcements. I think that could work.
Why not do either? If you do the kill 3 bosses, that can mess up the Helga thing.
Yeah.
And some other stuff. But you could make it so that way you either defend or you kill all 3 to end it early.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually.
I think a lot of people also struggle with the overlapping enemy ranges.
True.
Since, like a bottom right with Taurus, it's if he's attacking you, and wasn't it like also a brave bow? I think
There
Was it
are
brave
lots of
bow?
bows on this map, yeah. Brave bows and killer
Yeah.
bows and whatnot, long bows.
Like
And sleep
Taurus
staves.
decimates one of your units almost like even if a unit was really tanky, it gets low, then get killed. Then also on the Sigma side, there's a lot of crit that you face.
Yeah.
And people face that as well. And we had also status staves. That's something people always really don't like. But overall, it's a really good chapter to train up your units. And if you're prepared, you can really go like you can
Yeah.
easily,
It's a good chapter to kind of catch up, yeah.
I personally hate this chapter because I've had the secret event happen multiple times where the bard spawns and dances Thor's over to just murder me.
Yeah, I know. It's not great.
Secret events.
Alright, let's move on to rank
you, Mont.
23. Pyrion's Envoy. I'm surprised.
I like this map.
It's had to rank
Well-
somewhere, and it's one of the fire chapters again, so...
Yeah,
I'll put a download on this one. Skill issue.
But
Yeah.
it's so fun to chase Ash through the... I think... So, the reason I think this map is poorly rated is this is the experience everyone has with this map. They play it, they get meteored, they get mad, and they may stop playing. Then they restart, understand that they have to chase Ash around, and then they like it.
Or they chase Ash around, they think they've killed her, right? And then she respawns, they're like, oh, this is annoying, I have to kill her again. And then
Yeah.
they do it, and then they have to kill her again, and they're like, oh, come on, when does this end?
and then one more.
But I will say, like, I personally find this map incredibly fun to play. I love chasing Ash around. I think it's really fun.
There is one issue I do remember. I think on the very last time you kill Ash, the map doesn't immediately end.
True.
I think
Yeah.
you have to wait one more turn, and that can really
This
screw
was
with people.
probably not telegraphed clearly enough to players, I think.
Yes, the reason why is because I want to make you think it's not the last time.
Oh yeah. And also
Yes.
like there's
psychological
scary
torture.
there's scary units around Ash, and you didn't just want to send Helga into Russia. You wanted to actually make sure you clear away like the Manikids around there and whatnot. Wasn't that the
There is-
reason?
I like this map because I made it.
Yeah, I made this map predictable, where if you already played it, you know where Ash is going to spawn. But you have to know that originally I was planning to randomize where she will spawn.
Maybe something for
It's
PH mode?
very
Some
evident
random?
by the design.
Yeah.
But after chapter 17, I decided to hold back a bit because this was the starting chapter of the year.
True, yeah.
You know, if we do challenge mode and we do PH mode, you know what's coming.
There is one thing about this map that I think does piss off a lot of people. The Flame Wisps will obliterate certain units. Boogie, Garam, Bjarki, even Jaheira. There are some units
Yes.
that do not do well on this map, because Flame Wisps, they have a lot of speed, and they deal decent damage, and they'll very often double units like Garam. And if they gang up on you, they're hard to see, because they're red, and they're over the lava. They can very easily jump you, and then just like burst down your Garam. So I think that does piss people off.
Also, people like Sigrid also aren't safe, as we've seen in your Iron Man.
Yeah, true, yeah. Very true.
I think the one complaint I have on this map is the starting point, maybe. Specifically, the path that you take down south with kind of like that single file bridge. Like, you have two, but you're really not going to go on that right one. So
Yeah.
the start can be a little bit slow. That's like my one issue, maybe, if you could even count that. I like
Yeah.
that.
And as I recall, there's also, if you take the right bridge, you're also crossing over those forests right there, which really slow you down. Yeah.
True
As
that.
an
There
advanced
used to
forest
be,
player, man, you should understand why that's annoying.
Before changes, there used to be only one bridge, and there were hills that would also prevent you from getting to Ash. It was
Very
something.
annoying.
It was quite
Yeah,
something.
very annoying. All right, moving on to rank 22. We have Dark Origin. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
I
Oh.
will preface something on that one.
Yeah.
Sadly, many people rated it thinking it was a dev chapter.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
Yes.
Did you show the original map or the new updated map?
Yes.
This is definitely updated. I can immediately
This is the
tell this is
updated
an
one,
update.
yeah. This is the
What I'm
updated.
asking is,
one.
when people were voting, did they see
They
the
saw
original
this
map?
one. They saw this chapter. Yeah.
Exactly. And they thought this was a dev battle because either they don't recognize it, either it's either they played it but they don't recognize it, or they think it's a
Half
dev
of
battle.
people just didn't rank this map. It was almost no votes on it. Because most people just
Yeah.
didn't play it. So, and the people who did, I guess, weren't terribly thrilled with it. There were some 10s, but there were also like a lot of 2s and 3s. So just
Yeah,
some
I mean, if
people
you're
absolutely
going-
loved it. Yeah.
If you're going by pure atmosphere, it's a great map. But if you're going by story, it's kind of boring. If you're
Little
going by gameplay, it's really boring. It's just like a straight line with really weak enemies and then like one really strong enemy you run from. It's really not a very good map. Like, if it wasn't for the atmosphere and like the kind of horror vibes, it wouldn't have anything going on for it.
I agree. It's meant to be very out of place in the game. It's not supposed to
Yeah, I
be
mean, there's a
there.
reason we locked it behind like the most obscure requirement ever, right? Like,
It's really meant to be something that should not be there. And when you get there, of course, happens what happens. Not going to spoil for people that didn't play it.
yeah.
But it's meant to be a first look at what will happen in Andaron Saga 2.
Yeah.
If
and it's-
anything, I'm surprised it's rated this high.
yeah, actually. Agreed.
I'm surprised it's beaten out a couple of those Timea chapters and some of them. There's really
I'll
nothing that
defend
I would.
Yeah, Seb?
I'll defend it because people really like the atmosphere of this one and the lead-in for what the absolute hell is going to happen in Andaron Saga 2.
Yeah.
People like that you get one more chapter with Galahad and Isabel to like just go around and body things. It's a victory lap kind of chapter where, you know, the atmosphere is scary, but it's really not that hard because you have Isabel, Galahad, and potentially all these other units.
You
that can
might have
carry you.
Galahad. That's an if.
You might have Galahad.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
assuming you have Galahad. I'm Isabel's
Yeah.
number one fanboy. I always have
Night
Galahad.
Isabel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And people like just, you know, getting to have the experience of these other characters that aren't the main characters. They get a chapter to explore their story and like do a little bit with Isabel.
Yep. True. All right. Well, let's move on to number 21. And that is Fortress of Flame. Okay.
I'm
Cyrus.
surprised that we didn't have an arena chapter yet.
Yeah, right? It's weird.
Yeah, I thought the arena chapter would be far below
So-
actually, but
Yeah, this chapter has one big issue. This is another one that's made mostly by me. I wanted sort of like a, not a stealth chapter, but an infiltration chapter. The problem with this chapter for me personally is that the team that it's outside the walls, it feels like they're just kind of on janitor duty, cleaning up while everyone else is doing the cool stuff inside. This map really should have been two phases. One where you move in with a small team, and then once you hit the switches, you get the rest. Having two battles go on, one outside, one inside, was, I don't think, a very good idea.
Another option
Yeah.
would be that instead of your units immediately appearing inside at the start of the chapter, there's like tiles outside where you can move units and then they teleport inside.
Yeah.
And then you actually like attack from inside. Maybe you can only send a couple units in, and like in the game lore, like the caves collapse or something. Then you have like 2 or 3 units inside, and they have to start sweeping in to get the other units in.
Yeah.
I think a better execution of it would have been you play with your main squad, like in front of the castle, you distract the enemies that come out of the gates or from the sides. And
Yeah.
during the battle, the units you selected beforehand, maybe in a guidance chapter, go to for the stealth mission.
Yeah,
That
I agree.
way it would have been a better execution, but we had clearly a good vision for it. The execution was poor,
Yeah.
I'll admit.
And people didn't
But-
like the Cyrus requirement
now-
recruitment.
Yeah.
Now we
Cyrus
have
requirement
way
is a
better,
pain. I
what
shouldn't
was
have
it?
put a savior gimmick in Andaron Saga. I don't know why I copied that aspect of FE5. That was just dumb.
Oh, now we have way better, skills as coders. So now we can execute something better. And I think this is a chapter which will get completely redesigned for the final version.
I think what completely saves this map is I think people really like to kick Cassandra's butt. Like that's the highlight of
Yes.
this map is to get to fight Cassandra. So I think
Oh, the
that's
music
why
is
it's
cool.
not rated worse.
Music is
So
cool.
I'm gonna.
Hmm?
Oh, I just want to throw one quick thing in here. So I streamed this with Nihil, and Nihil and a lot of other people like him, they don't know the intricacies of AI and GBA. So he didn't understand that the knights that you have to save in order to get Cyrus, they have a 2-range weapon. So if you put a 1-range unit in front of them, they'll always attack that unit from 2 range, and then they won't die. And the same as vice versa. If you have a 2-range unit, they'll attack that unit from 1 range. So people who don't know that don't understand how easy it is to draw the knights away and thus
Yeah.
not kill them.
This Cyrus recruitment is nowhere near as insane as the Savior recruitment from FE5. All you need to do is just not kill the knights. But that, to a lot of people, that is really hard to do. So,
It's
Someone
pretty
else
hard to
mentioned
do
it, but
on-
I would definitely say this map gets high praise for me just because of Return of the Heroes. What a
it's a
banger
great track. It is
Yes.
a great track, yeah.
It's an absolute banger.
All right, anyone has anything they want to say, or should we move on? Oh, okay, let's move on. Next chapter, rank 20. Glory of the Hunt? Wow. Okay.
Skill issue.
This feels like one of those
Skill issue.
chapters that's ranked here just because some chapters have to be ranked lower than others, not because it's a bad chapter.
I love
I
this
think
map.
it's a very simple map which introduces some mechanics pretty well.
Mhm.
I think it's fine for what it is. It's probably the map that has the least amount of work in the entire game. This
Yep.
uses repeating reinforcements. There is very few enemies. Contrary to what people think, there is not even 30 centers on this map.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very simple map and designed in a very simple way.
I think one of the more surprising aspects of this map is that no enemies actually spawn up top. I would expect them to spawn from the top because that's where they come from, but none appear up there.
Nope.
It's really weird.
It's a bit weird. They probably should, but yeah, well, of the many
the
things
reason
Wonder
for that
Guy
is that the cutscene wasn't made when I made the chapter, so they come out of the gate.
true.
I remember when I played it the first time and Victoria just stand there at the top waiting for enemies still.
I would say Victoria may be one of the best unit feels in the game. She comes in and she just like
Yes.
slaughters. Like that is, and I'm very happy with how we introduced her, and I think she's one of the most popular characters because of this chapter. Because she comes in and she can one-round all the beefy centaurs that your other units struggle to one-round.
Yeah, but people have not been converted to the beam sword build yet.
True.
I need to work more on
Beam
that.
sword. I
Yeah.
love it. It's so good.
All right, let's move on to number 19. It is Decisive duel. Let's go.
Finally.
There it is.
This ranked above the previous ones. What the heck?
Bro,
Holy.
people have very varying opinions of this map because someone like Davis, who loves Bjarki, got to 1v1 Tyrannar with Bjarki and have Bjarki be the Jarl. That will cement itself as like one of your favorite moments if you love any of the Hornheim units. But some people did the 5v5 battle, got absolutely curb stomped, and cried about it. Because the 5v5 is so much harder than the 1v1.
So, my experience with this map, when I playtested it, because this is a Monks on DS9 map.
Yeah.
The first time I played it, Monks was watching, and I used Sigrid as for the 1 versus 1, because Tyrannar didn't have a brave weapon back then.
And she just murdered him.
He just got destroyed.
Yep.
That was very fun. That was my experience of the map. And that pissed Monk so much that he made a brave weapon.
True. Yep.
The 5 versus 5 is tricky, and I like it. That's about.
It's so tricky because of the Bard.
Yeah.
Yes, he's amazing. I love him. He
That's
killed so many players. I am proud of him.
Yeah, Paterino?
The Berserk staff is also for most people kind of an issue if you're not really looking at the.
Yeah, it's lunatic only, but
items.
yeah, it is bad.
Yeah, but it's you have a restore stave at this point.
Yeah.
But if you're playing lunatic mode, you have the tools, and I think like a lot of people like the fact that the Ragnarok is transforming to the weapon your Jarl actually uses afterwards.
Yeah,
So,
it becomes a tome for Helga.
it's a really nice touch.
Or Sigrid.
Or Sigrid. True. Yeah.
Speaking of Sigrid, I think this map's fine. No, it's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite, but I have a funny story for this one. My fondest memory of Andaron Saga, I was watching Spring play for the very first time. He picked Sigrid as his Jarl, even though she had died in the previous map. He respawned as a level 0 trainee.
That's funny.
He was then able to make the Jarl, and we just died laughing. It was the funniest thing.
Yeah, that was like back in the beta when we had some buggy code here. Yeah. That's funny.
I think I'm going to put in my one last thing that I do like about this chapter. I like that each of the each of the Jarl candidates has a different talk with Tyrannar, and they all have different victory speeches. And I think obviously Sigrid's is the best.
Yeah, like
Yes.
Bjarki's like, do what you want, just don't raid, fish, and build buildings. Barrett is like, I'm gonna kick your ass if you challenge me. Helga's like, I will murder you if you even look at me. And Sigrid's like, can we all be friends? And Rolfnir's like, whoa, I'm the Jarl now, whoa, yeah, I'm gonna kick ass, we're gonna raid. And Jaka's like, did we put the wrong guy on the throne? It's funny.
So Mangs, real quick,
Yeah.
real quick, Mangs, for Definitive Edition, why isn't Buggy able to become a Jarl candidate? Come on, man.
Agreed.
Come on.
Absolutely adding Boogie. Absolutely. But Jarl Boogie. That's what you heard it here first.
Self-inserts.
All right, let's move on to map number 18, and it is Maiden of Light. Okay.
Again, this is one of those chapters where I think it's only ranked here because there's so many good maps that, some of them have to be rated lower than others.
I think the main issue is green units, and you have that little one-tile hallway on the right side.
Yeah.
Not only
Theodore
green
can
units,
potentially
but,
finish this map for you a bit earlier than you would like. If he
Yeah,
decides to go for the boss.
Theodore, again, green unit can really mess up. But we're looking at a pretty high ranking for this one, and I think the map theme really adds a lot here. It's really good.
Yes.
Tradestar really outdid himself. It's so catchy. Oh my goodness. You guys can't hear it now, but it's playing in the background as we're recording this video. But it is so good. And I think this is kind of where the story is starting to get a little bit interesting, I think, for some people, because it's like, ooh, there's a Lightbringer princess, and there's stuff going on here. And I think this is kind of where people start to get a little bit hooked into the game.
And I wrote 412 different conversations for recruiting Natalie, so that's fun too. I wonder how many people played Andaron Saga and they didn't know about that.
Probably
and then
most
maybe
people.
some of them, and then maybe they replayed it the second time. They're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Or maybe they just skipped the conversation because they thought it was the same thing.
Every single character has a unique conversation with Natalie, and many of them are hilarious. I really like the Garum one where she's like, what's a horse doing in my kitchen?
Guess your mama got it on with a steed.
Yeah, I gotta say, Clock, I gotta give you kudos. Natalie had no personality before you came around and rewrote her entire character, and she became. I don't know if she's like one of the most beloved characters, but she's definitely a popular character. And she's controversial though. She's a controversial character.
Yes. People love her or hate her, and I hate her.
Many people will blame Clock for many things, but you did a lot. Without you, this would have been a
it would have been bad.
Act,
it would have been bad. Go back to the beta version and look at my writing, and like that would have been the game. So we got to give Clock his.
You did prefer some of it sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But
there is some plot points where I preferred it before, but that's fine. But the quality of the writing on some ideas of where to go on how to develop characters.
True.
We learned a lot from Clock.
Just got to remove the memes and references.
Yeah, which we will do.
That's most important.
Yeah, but anyway, this map, I like it. I think it's cool. It does. One thing I would like to change about it is to add like a little passageway in the middle, because I feel like splitting your army in two and then getting caught between wyverns is not very fun. And this map just has a tendency to cluster a lot. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it just becomes a mosh pit in the center.
Yeah, because of all the green units. How many green units join you?
You can get like 12 or 13 green units. Yeah, the idea was I wanted a chapter where you go around and rally the local populace to fight, which I think is a cool concept, but it doesn't quite work out in theory.
Could you
or in practice?
Could you make flags that say, hey, when you bring them onto the map, that they have an objective to do? Like say,
yeah, so they spread out a little bit. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, you could say go to the bottom, like the house on the middle on the right. You could say go to the bottom part and intercept the wyvern knights.
I agree, because the green units cluster up, and then the bandits who burn the villages cluster up, and then Theo comes down with militia, and it's just like it's chaos in the center. So
and don't forget, green units steal EXP too. So you got all these green units.
Very annoying.
Not only are they dying and getting in your way, but they're stealing all your EXP and items and shit. People don't like that.
Yeah, true.
Besides the secret objective, this is a shop where I asked someone to make a naked Islander mug, but no one did it.
Oh, when Baudemont goes into her house, yeah.
Yeah, early. But besides that, this is a chapter where I did absolutely nothing. I touched nothing on this chapter. I have nothing bad to say about it.
It's my second chapter. This was the second map I ever made. Very new. I was very new to a map. Like, I just kind of threw you. You can kind of tell. This is a bit of this map is like, I'm in puberty of map making. It's like, doesn't quite know what it wants to do. There's a lot of stuff going on and not much, but it worked out, I think.
There is actually one thing that we haven't mentioned about this map. So the entire bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 tiles of the map, those were added on later, and your unit started a lot higher up. But the problem was that because they started so close, the action started a little too fast.
Yeah,
I remember there were issues with that. Yeah,
the gate didn't exist. They just because we wanted to, like. The problem was, okay, so the town is occupied. They just let them walk in? No, they'd stop you, right? Like, the Dalmatians wouldn't just let you walk in. They stop you at the gates if they're occupying it. Why would they just let you walk in? That doesn't make any sense. It makes Wilhelm look like an idiot. It makes him look like an idiot. So, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on to map number 17. We have Ethereal Legion. Okay.
Void of Helheim.
Rank 17, chapter 17. Perfect.
Yeah. So the only reason it's ranked this low, skill issue. Just pure skill issue. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. So this is a map that asked me the most work by far, except one, which will come later. This chapter is very hard, of course. This chapter, when we made the polls of favorite maps, was one of the 5 favorites. And when we made the poll of the 5 least favorite, the 5 most hated, it was there as well, of course.
Yeah.
This map is... Well, there is a reason why we are going to make a B chapter for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I might as well show off that map too.
Yes.
You know, just you know, it's a bit of a treat to people watching. So in definitive, 4 extra ones, 4 B maps.
4.
So if you don't go to Helheim in Definitive Edition, you will have the option to simply sail to the icebreaker capital of Nidaros to go into the arena the normal way, which obviously is going to be pretty hard. So you get to see the icebreaker capital of Nidaros.
Oh, I've seen this, yeah.
And the objective is you start on the ship and you make your way to the arena in the top left. It's basically an escape mission. You got to get to the arena before reinforcements are rallied against you, basically. So,
in the arena that leads directly into the
exactly.
Wow.
It's Jonka's like, no, we ain't doing this. We ain't going to Helheim. That's dangerous. We're just gonna take a ship, you know. So
that's a really smart workaround. Although, yeah, I was gonna say from a story perspective, it's kind of weird that they just sail right up to him. But I guess they could use deception or something.
well, we'll figure something out. Maybe they'll meet a Viking who like smuggles them in or something. You know,
There you go,
They
that
have
works.
cloaks and they pretend to be merchants or something. You know, we need disguises. Perfect.
I need disguises.
I immediately have an idea. It has to involve Buggy. If Buggy's like recruited or
Of
something,
course.
he knows a guy who knows a guy.
He knows a guy who knows a guy, exactly. But anyway, back to chapter 17. I love this map. I was the one who like had the concept of it in my mind, but I didn't know how to make it. So I went to PH and I was like, PH, I want a map with portals and enemies coming out of the portals, and you need to kill the portals. Go cook. And PH cooked up this, and I gotta say, this is one of my favorite maps in the game. I love it. I love it thematically.
I was very happy to have the excuse to use this tile.
Yeah,
set.
and
This
Lemon
is-
Tart was the one who showed me the tile set, and I was like, that's perfect. That's
Final
so
Fantasy
good.
2.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 2 for the GBA, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, don't sue us, Square Enix.
I love the what I love the most about this chapter is that it requires you to make so many decisions. How many portals can I close, and which portals do I leave alone? Especially on Lunatic, you cannot close every portal on Lunatic. It's very hard. So instead, what you do is you say, that portal I'm gonna leave, that one portal I'm gonna leave alone, and I'm gonna just focus on this part of the map. And then maybe if you have some time, you can try and clear away a few extra portals. Davis G just streamed this map right before we started recording this, and it was so fun to watch him play. Like this map, every time I watch someone play it, I'm like, man, this came out so good.
Yeah.
One thing I like watching other people play with this map is everyone has a different way that they approach it.
Yeah. But some people do get
for-
trashed. Yes, sir?
For Definitive Edition, are you going to change anything related to the Claymore events on this chapter?
Yes,
Or is it going to stay the
absolutely.
same?
Got to make it not RNG.
I'm actually really fond
Many
of this
people
map.
will appreciate
From
that
here.
one.
I think I'll just summon a spirit somewhere randomized, and then Caroline and Victoria can talk to him. Like the RNG event was complete BS.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really fond of this map. I remember when I played it the first time, when it was Andaron Saga came out, I had a screenshot LP thing ongoing and told PH every time when I was doing something or something ridiculous happened.
Yeah.
I remember that Asmodeus spawned right beside my Jacka and I was like, oh, sake.
Yeah.
So, gotta run up.
Anyone else have anything they want to say about this map before we move
yeah.
on? Yeah, Donlock?
I feel like this is one of those maps where the first time you may really die hard and you'll think you'll hate it, but after a while you end up liking it.
Yeah.
So I will say earlier I mentioned one of the bigger issues I've noticed in some maps, and this map isn't really rated all that low, but one of those issues is when you fight a map and it's just full of generic enemies and the boss is really generic.
Yeah.
Asmodeus, obviously he has a face in it. Well, I don't really know if I'd say he has a face, but you know, he is like a character or whatever, but for the majority of the map you're just fighting hordes of generic enemies, and there's really no interesting like mid-map changes or anything like that. You just have Jonka kind of having dialogue with a guy, and then at the very end of the map Asmodeus finally comes in, but there's no really like interesting mid-map shifts that I've really noticed as far as story goes.
Yeah, it's very generic. Like, you just fight nameless
You have
terrors.
the Devil deal, that's reasonably interesting.
What was?
Devil deal, where you can get the devil spear.
Yeah, no, I'm talking, like that's the one thing that kind of happens, but I don't know, like, obviously you're in the middle of Helheim, it's not like Alexander's gonna burst in here or anything like that, but maybe, I don't know, just something.
Agreed.
Maybe something from Rebellion Saga.
All right, well, let's move on.
Something
sorry,
I want
yeah?
to mention.
Yeah?
If you take the devil deal, I love it that the map goes completely silent.
That's very cool. Yeah, you just hear the wind.
Enemies stop moving, wind's blowing. You know you made a mistake.
Yeah. That's a good touch. I agree. All
Now,
right,
man,
let's-
so I'm going to throw one thing in here, one last thing. So in New Dawn, I was planning to make it so Ralphnir can get the devil deal, because his whole thing's about vengeance.
Yep.
I think you could fit that in DE.
Be fun, actually. Yeah, have multiple characters be able to get the deal, because this is an easy fix. It doesn't take that much. All right, let's move on to number 16. It's Winds of Change, PH's favorite map, isn't it?
Okay, I think this one should be rated lower.
I also, as the guy who made this map, I feel like it should be lower mainly for the reason that it just spams a lot of the cliff tiles. I feel like there probably should have been a bit more mountains for like just visual.
Yeah, visually it could be more impressive, I guess, but
Yeah,
otherwise, I
it's
like this
supposed
one.
to be fairly end game. It's
If we're talking about
bland.
visuals, that absolute block of forest at the bottom. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
That was me.
No,
I
that
added
was mine. Although that really needed to be cleaned up. That never got
I
cleaned up.
agree.
This forest looks very bad. The reason why I added this forest is to prevent the team from grouping up.
Yeah, make it more
easily.
punishing for just to go all one side. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really wanted it to make it feel like it's hard to climb that mountain to that castle.
Yeah. And it is.
Yes, but it's grueling. But
Yeah.
I think the idea of that we had very late into development of Jaka bringing moving ballista was really good.
Yeah, I added ballistas to this map because I was like, that sounds like fun. Let's shoot down some Pegasus
No, that
Knights.
was my idea.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Pretty sure it's
was.
mine, but okay, alright.
So I will say this.
Memory-wise, you have
Okay.
not been the most... Okay.
True. Was that clock?
So I will say this. The worst thing about this chapter, and the reason that I don't like it, so it's very simple, really. You get 2 Windlands characters, okay?
Yeah.
You get Sham and you get Shay. And guess what happens if they died or you didn't use them? This is a totally useless chapter, story-wise, for the player. They're like, I don't know about those characters. I lost them in Chapter 4. I lost them in Chapter 7. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that you have if you lost them is you get the Caroline thing. And obviously, Caroline could be dead at this point, right? I'm pretty sure you can kill her off.
She can. Yeah.
So she could be dead, and then you could just have nothing. This is just a total filler chapter.
For people who love Sham, this is like their favorite chapter because they get to Sham gets to conclude his character arc. For people who didn't train Sham, they're like, okay, I guess we're just gonna kill some green-haired sage. So it's like for this map, there was a lot of 10s and there was a lot of 4s and 5s. I noticed that. So
something I noticed when I talked about this chapter on the Discord is that many people were like, "Well," and I think you saw this clock. Okay, we are fighting House Windlands. Why are we not fighting House Ashburn after the House Ring? Why specifically them? Why we are making this detour?
Yeah.
And this feels like a filler chapter because it is fundamentally a filler chapter. This is a filler chapter of the final arc.
I had to kind of tag on a reason, like, the reason they're targeting Windlands is because we're going to disrupt Andaron's communications. But yeah, I agree. I feel like this might have benefited from a route split where you can attack either, like, Ashburn or Windlands.
I'm about to fire off my stupidest idea ever. What if you don't have Sham and Shay, you just have like a way of skipping this chapter, or it gets skipped?
Yeah, that's also a possibility, yeah. But of course, skipping an entire chapter is a lot of experience that you don't get, so it's a big penalty.
You skip it, but as a result, like more Windlands units show up on the final chapter, maybe, or something like that.
Oh no,
on the next
don't
chapter.
do that.
We already have a lot of those interactions, though.
Yeah.
Like, whether you kill William depends on whether you face him in chapter 29.
Yeah.
If only this was made in Lex Talionis and you didn't have
I will
the map
say, though,
right one.
Wester, probably one of the most memorable villains that people really like to kill.
Yes,
Bring him back
with
in Andaron
Rebellion Saga,
so I can kill him again.
Yeah?
Yeah, with Rebellion Saga, I think he becomes an even better villain.
Yeah.
Something. Now that you played Rebellion Saga, you are not skipping this because he is someone now that you know you have to take down.
I'm very proud of Wester as a villain. He was fun to write, fun to fight, just a really good villain, I think, overall.
Oh,
So
I
did
actually
nothing
have
wrong.
a. Sorry.
He did nothing
He
wrong.
finishes though.
PH.
Besides ending my draft.
This is
I
more
think
a
that's a
thought
space.
that.
PH. Yeah, Seth, what do you say?
So true.
So this is my thought that mostly kind of stems now from after Rebellion Saga, and we come back to this one. Madeline is my main contention on this map of I don't like this one so much now for two reasons, and they're both related to Madeline. I think her recruitment is too hard.
Awful.
Because there's too many battles that Sham has to do with her. He's going to kill her.
Yeah,
She's going to die.
It's a bad recruitment. It's a bad recruitment.
Yeah. Secondly, I wish she was better because she's pretty much the last unit you're going to get, and she's not good.
Yep, I agree.
I
And,
disagree.
she's very good. If you her sword is really good in the final chapter. But yeah, I agree. Her recruitment is bad.
Staff rank.
True. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next chapter. Now we're going into the top 15 with Chapter 30, Dire Pursuit. I am so surprised this is ranked as highly as it is. I thought this would be one of the lowest ones.
Yes.
I'm kind of confused. This chapter seems rather large. I remember it only being like that central part. What are people playing? There's actually there's actually an entire chapter you can play. That's crazy. I just have Isabel.
That's the thing, right? So I think one of the reasons this map is rated as highly as it is because of Isabel.
Yes.
If you train Isabel and you have her dual Galahad, this is one of the most memorable maps ever.
So, this is one of the chapters I designed. This chapter is my take on the dragon chapter of Radiant Dawn. You know, the one in the tower where you face red dragons on white dragons. On this map, you face Steel Knights with lances that have very high defense, and Steel Knights with axes that have, on the sprites, that have very high resistance. So you need to use the correct weapon against the correct one.
But this was not telegraphed clearly enough to the players. Most people didn't get that.
Yeah, almost nobody got that, so that's sad, because if you know this, suddenly the map becomes far more playable.
True.
The duel was one of my ideas for Isabel. And yeah, it works very well, of course. But I think the chapter itself is fine, if not a bit filler. But
yeah,
also it after the battle of chapter 29, which I guess we will see much later, this feels a bit, like a victory lap, because you are just spamming regalias, and that's very much the intention, by the way.
Yeah, the idea was that, hey, these Steel Knights that were so strong you couldn't even fight them before, now you get to really trounce them. And that's like you're supposed to feel all powerful.
I just remember the beta and that they had Warrior Fighter.
Yeah, they had Warrior Fighter. That's funny.
It was a pain.
Yeah, I was. All right, let's move on to chapter.
I have one last
say your piece.
I have one last complaint about this chapter, and that's that you only fight Steel Knights. Like it's just a wall of Steel Knights.
A wall of
steel.
Like
you could at least. I feel like you could throw in some soldiers, some cavaliers, something like that, just to mix up the monotony a little bit, because it's just Steel Knights. It's one unit type for an entire chapter.
I remember PS wanting to do this, but we just didn't have time.
Yeah, keep in mind, this chapter is probably the one that suffered the most, besides 32, from rushed development. This was a very lazy idea from Radiant Dawn, because the end of Radiant Dawn is lazy as fuck.
True.
And yeah, I just put it back in this form. I think it's still better than the Deginsera chapter, which is not a good chapter, by the way.
Yeah,
but
anyone has anything they want to say before we move on? Nope. All right. Let's move on to number 14. Grand Crossing. Okay.
The only DS Noon chapter, besides the chapter that
this was made by DS Noon. This is the only DS Noon map in the game, and we nerfed it a lot. It was horrible before we nerfed it. My wife hates this map. She says this is one of the like whenever she gets to this map, she just hates it. I don't know why she hates it so much, but she does. But apparently most people don't hate it. I think it's a cool map. I think it's a simple concept. Cross the river. It's that easy.
It's a simple map.
I like it. Pretty simple map. Nothing really crazy going on. It's got good story events. Got lots of dialogue and talks and stuff. The gameplay I never found to be particularly difficult. Like, you just go through and you do your thing, right? It's a good map also because Christina joins. This is a good training map.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got Natalie yet, or you haven't trained her quite yet, you can get her to her level 10 here, and then she can start stomping the rest. But if you don't, then this is like the last stop for the Natalie train.
Agreed.
You better have sent her away.
So this is obviously a very different design philosophy. There is a lot of overlapping ranges, and there is a lot of things that were not there before in the game.
Yeah.
The game taught you how to do player phases to be fast, like Chapter 7. It taught you how to deal with enemy phases with Chapter 8, and now this Chapter 9 is also a teaching lesson on how to deal with overlapping ranges.
Yeah,
because this is going to get harder later, specifically on the boat map. and then on the the infiltration part on chapter 26, and even on later maps. But I think this map is perfectly fine. I love the side objective of going to defeat Liam. I think it's really perfect.
Yeah.
Alexander leaving, story-wise, it's perfect. I really like this chapter. It's also the introduction of probably the best unit in the game, Mortimer. He is probably the best playable. Too bad, he lives until chapter 42X.
Yeah.
So-
I think TDS Noon did a really good job on that one.
Yep, he did. We just needed to
gave it
remove all
an
the Brave weapons.
Very good.
So this is one of my top 3 favorite chapters in the game because there's so much going on. There's so many moving parts with the first part of the Caroline recruitment, potentially getting the Gale shot. Sam and Theodore come back, and they come back in such a strong way where you can understand like why Sam is this guy. Like, no, he is like the greatest knight in Andaron. He comes back with the Rose Thorn. He's one-shotting everything. He's your best way to get the Gale shot. And of course, Theodore coming back potentially with the Dire Thunder if you haven't lost him before. That's a strong feeling weapon. These guys come in, they're wrecking everything on the map, and it just feels so good to get them back.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I have not gotten that Dire Thunder since a while because I always sacrifice Theo in chapter 7 to get to get Ash.
Yeah, I like this
I do
map.
want to add.
Yeah, don't
Yeah. I do want to add. When Samuel and Theodore leave in chapter 8, you really feel it. So it makes them coming back here really impactful.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right.
Like
Chapter 8 is hard without Sam and Theo, especially if you're used to relying on them. It's rough, man.
Yeah. If you don't have Zacharias, chapter 8 goes from really easy to really hard.
True. Yeah.
I think this chapter is also good. It introduces some of the players, like the large-scale players, like Alexander, who's a menacing general which you don't want to fight, and Liam, who's kind of pushover against his little brother.
Well, Liam, Liam is great. He has killed so many players on chapter 29. He has done an amazing job.
Yeah.
I really
with the
like
girl
Liam.
shot is a menace for sure.
Oh, by the way, this chapter introduces the concept of regalia for half the players because they didn't see his dawn color yet. Now they see regalias for the first time.
They see the Rose Thorn, the Gale shot, and the Gladiolus. You get 3 regalias at once.
Yes, because the Lumina is also there. By the way,
Also,
for the first time.
I love the conversation that when you give Mortimer Dawncaller, it's such a good combo. And Mortimer's conversation with Iolanda is one of my favorite combos in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great combo. It sets up so many plot lines. If you read it again after you clear the game, you're like, oh my goodness. This is
On Rebellion Saga.
Yeah.
I would actually argue that his conversation with Iolanda is almost spoilery in some ways, because if you don't see the conversation versus if you do see it, you're gonna know a lot of what's coming if you're paying attention. I'm pretty sure Zev, didn't you see that for the first time? I didn't even tell you to do it, I don't think. And then you were like, okay, I'm about to guess every single plot point over the next 7 chapters, and I was like,
it might be a bit
little too on the nose.
Yeah.
I believe in beta testing, I actually tried to get you guys to remove that conversation because I thought, no, this is too much. It reveals too much of what's about to happen because I nailed it immediately. This is about to happen. I can see it coming. We need to change something about this.
Yeah. It might be a bit too on the nose for some people. I agree.
But at the same time, 71% of people were not. They fell for the Mortimer plot twist. So who knows?
True.
Still love it. Great.
We should
characters
have
and all that stuff.
a conversation between Zacharias and Mortimer now that they are a bit more tied.
Agreed.
together.
That was always intended.
Yes.
Yeah, but it got cut. They were supposed to have a support, but it got cut. But now we can add it back. Anyway, let's move on to map number 13. Almost in the top 10 now, guys. We have Storming the Castle. Let's go.
No way this one is this low. No way it's this low.
Wait, I think you skipped one.
No?
Try to go back.
No?
Oh, overall rank
14.
22, overall rank 20.
No.
Yeah,
that's
it's
chapter.
counting the Rebellion Saga overall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the
We're going by game
20th
rank.
most popular map of both games, basically. Yeah.
Oh, the only chapter in this arc I had to redesign.
You did such a good job with this chapter, PH. My original version of this map sucked. This is where the Steel Knights were born, by the way. The Steel Knights were not supposed to be in the game. PH came to me and he was like, I need some strong enemies. I was like, okay. Like what? He's like, I want some generals that can cast magic. And I was like, why? Because I want to place them down to prevent the player from moving in certain places. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess we could put some barons on the map?
Yeah, and
I
specifically wanted them to be what defines our steel.
Yes, and then I was like, okay, barons. We could use barons from FE4, but what if we call them Steel Knights? And we make them the elite guardians. And that's how they were made. And Galahad wasn't even in the story at this point. We added Galahad in after this.
Yeah.
And I remember for a while there, we had Galahad. He was just like some dude.
He was some dude.
I think I suggested making him one of the brothers, like Thorgrim, and I don't know if was Robert originally Thorgrim's brother, because I thought he was just like some
dude. Was Faulin's idea.
It was. Yeah, he was just a master of arms.
Faulin is very important to the story, to what will become the story of Andaron Saga.
True.
He is not there today, sadly, but he is very important because when we get to chapter 14, I will explain more. So let's continue.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I love this map. I love the Steel Knights making you move around. I love how Joffrey shows up with the Ash Cleaver. And what I absolutely love about this map is the finale. The finale is so tense because you get to the middle, your forces join up, and then you have Isabel, who you have to avoid, and you have the 2 Steel Knights on the side, and then Gustav, who's a very easy boss to kill because you just like Dire Thunder him or something. But it feels like a mad dash to reach him before the walls close around you, and I love that. I always have so much fun playing this chapter. It's so nice. It's so fun.
This is the introduction of my favorite tool, Joffrey.
Yeah.
I love this map.
Would you like to hear my favorite part?
Oh, Ephraim, hi. You haven't said anything. Please.
I was nervous, okay?
Yeah, I saw you come in, but no. Share your opinions, Ephraim.
My favorite part of this map is clogging a choke point of Steel Knights with Mortimer.
Yes,
and
they don't attack him.
pelting Jeffrey with fireballs. Easiest kill ever. Love it.
Yeah, the fact that the Steel Knights don't attack Bottom on a Mortimer is a cool aspect of this map, I think. They don't even attack his illusion, because it looks like him. So, yeah, that's cool. Alright, anyone else has anything they want to add? Or should we move on?
No.
Let's move on.
This chapter is one of few that don't give you any new player character.
Except for Isabel at the end, but yeah, you're right.
That's technically the start of the next chapter, but you know.
True. Alright. Oh, wow. Thematically, right on point. Can this even be called a chapter? Can this even be called a chapter, guys?
Because the track is so good.
The track is good, but I mean, really, this should have just been the end of chapter 11, in my opinion.
Okay, I have a story for this chapter because actually I forgot. This is a chapter where I give 1 out of 10.
Really? Why?
I gave it a 1 out of 10 because I didn't want this chapter to be this.
He did get the secret. He did get the secret of it, didn't he?
I always wanted. Who knows? It's sporting times, right? But my intention for this chapter, and I was alone against all the other dev. Besides this, I wanted Bodymon to fight with death. I wanted us to play the death of Bodymon. I wanted to play Bodymon until he dies.
Yeah.
I even wanted to be the cutscene where Jacques has to live, to be in the middle of his struggle to survive. Because there is nothing he can do. That was my original intention for this map. That the player will play Bodymon until he gets killed by a Samuel that has 100% chance to impale you.
I don't dislike that idea, but the problem is that that's like one of those, maybe that could be like an alternate storyline option or something like that. But the problem with that is that you'd be sacrificing a lot of stuff like the Mortimer dramatic reveal in the prisons. You'd be also losing the entire prison sequence with the ominous music. So what happened to Bodymon?
Alex, for Mortimer, he will get captured. No one knows what... he would also be part of the fight because he was part of the fight already.
I like your idea, PH, I do, but I think the decision to not show Bodymon's death and have it shown in Chapter 13 in the way that it did is one of the reasons why I think Chapter 13 might be like the top-rated map in this.
Yes, but...
Yes.
You know, there is still the hope that he lost, but he's not dead, you know. But we didn't go through with it if he loses that way. So I think it would still have worked. But that's my opinion. Let's not do that debate yet. But that was my goal for
Yeah, mechanically, this is a Black Knight fight. That's what it is. It's
a little bit more interesting.
A little bit more, yeah. You have to make some decisions. Randall's personal skill can really screw you over here, because you think he doesn't kill you, you attack him, and then he gets 1 extra damage and he kills you. Happens to me all the time.
Playable Randall when?
Go play Rebellion Saga. But yeah, I mean, this is it's a nice little deal. It's cool story-wise, not super exciting gameplay-wise, but clearly a lot of people liked it, though. So, all right, let's move on. We're almost in the top 10 now, guys. Northern Raiders. Okay.
Yes.
Very high rating.
I'm surprised this made it that far.
Me too.
The iconic scene of Samuel attacking a warrior and getting crit.
This is so true, yeah. That happens a lot because of the RNG of this map. So this was the first map I made. This was the first map I made. Ever. And
wait, Chapter 1 is DS Noon?
Chapter 1 is DS Noon? Yes.
Because we have not seen it yet, by the way.
We have not? I think it's pretty high, but okay, so this was the first chapter I ever made, and I think it really shows. While the concept is cool, and clearly a lot of people like it, I am not super happy with it, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's too spammy, and too, like, again, you have the problem with Chapter 4 where it kind of bogs down in the middle. It feels like you're waiting for them up.
Now.
Yeah.
I think it's a very iconic map now, and I think it works, but...
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a great introduction.
Yeah. It sets up the Vikings for later. There is one... you know what my biggest problem with Andaron Saga is? The Vikings get set up early, Timatians get set up early, Styxia does not. I really wish we had a chapter to set up the Styxians. Because they feel like they just are shoehorned into the story.
Yeah.
What I find
I can tell you
really
what I
like
was
the
doing to
nice-
fix that.
Lemon Tart and then Clock.
So what I really like personally is a nice little detail is the fact that most of the reinforcements actually come from the boats.
Yeah.
Like the boats actually land and then deploy the reinforcements. That's a really nice detail.
Took me so long to do. Oh my goodness, I worked so hard on it because I didn't know how to do it. I had to look it up. My goodness, I spent like a week on this chapter. I was new to Fire Emblem Builder. I didn't know how to do anything. So I remember I stayed up late, many late nights to figure out how to move the boats. Clock?
But what you were saying about the Timaean thing, so in New Dawn, what I was going to do is I was going to have a Styxian girl show up on the Centaur chapter, the very next chapter. So in this chapter, you introduce Hornheim, then you introduce Styxia, and then a couple chapters from now, that's when you introduce Timaean. Yeah. And in that way, you could do all of that. I don't know if you'd want to do that with like Kepri.
Oh, I've thought about it. I thought about the idea of introducing a Styxian character early on, yeah. I really think it's a shame that Styxia does not get set up earlier in the story. It really should. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into the top 10. I'm excited about this, guys. The top 10 map of Andaron Saga. At number 10 is Abominations. Let's go.
Oh,
right,
good.
that delicious
An exploration
atmosphere.
chapter made it to the top 10. An exploration chapter made it to the top 10.
This chapter is so unique because it does something that I don't think a lot of... This chapter reminds me a little bit of the chapter from Awakening where you fight the 10 Deadlords, the 12 Deadlords. It's... You don't fight generics, you don't fight bosses, you fight really, really strong mini-bosses. And I think a lot of people really like that.
Yeah. I have something... like, a lot of people hated Samuel. Especially when he showed up here with a rose form. I remember vividly when Andaron Saga came out, people were hating on me when I said Samuel is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Because I was like sympathizing with him from the start when he was mentioning how what happened to House Rose in the rebellion, and his actions made kind of sense. Also later in chapter 13, and he showed up here again. It was like my heart got like pierced by an arrow.
I think it's such a cool thing that some people will just see the Harbinger and they'll open up the inventory and they're like, he has the Rose Thorn? And then they'll check his skill and they'll be like, Veteran? Oh, he has Samuel's Veteran skill. And then I saw on stream several people just connecting the dots and going, oh. And that was... Seeing people like piecing it together was really, really satisfying. Like that was fun.
Yep.
And
Mings, at some
Clock,
point-
I wanna, because I think you have something to say about this. We had something planned for this map that sadly never made it true, and it's a bit sad.
Yeah.
The decision to forgive Samuel or not we actually had intentions of making a mercy or a vengeance route. So whether you forgive Samuel or not actually took you into 2 specific route splits, but of course due to development and ROM space limitations that never happened. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Clock?
I was going to talk about a few things, but I can talk about that first. Yeah, so that was one of the ideas we had. But then I think I mentioned at some point, what if we simplified it to just, did Jaka take the demon deal? Yes, then in that case, he doesn't forgive him. He's on the vengeance route. And if he didn't take the demon deal, then he does forgive him. And I think that's a little bit better than forgiving him right there in the moment, like a little choice branch. Because at that point, you could build on, like, if Jaka's being a demon right now, you could make him do more merciless actions up to that point. And then we would also tie it into, does he kill or not kill Brianna and Alexander? Well, then that would also be determined by the demon deal, too. But what I was going to mention, Mangs, I think we talked about this earlier in development on this chapter, was at least for a few of the regalia-wielding characters, if they die earlier in the game, maybe they show up here. Like Fred, for example. Maybe if Fred had the gladiolus, and then you could see him as a harbinger, maybe holding the gladiolus.
Yeah, that was like a Dead Lords kind of thing, where your dead units would show up in this chapter. I would love that.
It would be neat, but I don't think you could do it with mini characters unless they had a special PRF weapon, like the Moonblade, for example. And also, you would want to make sure Alvaro would only want like the premium quality people. He wouldn't want like just some commoner.
Also, I will say one thing: this map image that we have in the PowerPoint presentation here is outdated.
We have the much newer, bloodier
I'm going to
one.
show that right now, because that is the old version, and the new one looks so much better. My goodness. So I don't know how that made it in there. I guess that might be my fault. But I'm just I'm gonna bring up the new version on screen right now, because it is so much better. Look at this.
Yes.
So much better.
How much horrifying stuff is happening down there.
That is so much better.
Who made this map? Who was it? Was it Nameless?
Lemon Tart first, and then Nameless made this one, I think.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the revised version. I love the blood all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the added color really
psychopath.
It adds to it.
Yeah, so just...
There is something I need to clarify, I think. Some people assume that on this map we are fighting the characters that unfortunately die at the end of Rebellion Saga. This is not the case. The characters that got killed at the end of Rebellion Saga got vaporized by Kefus.
Yeah. There is one character though who could be heir. So
I think it'd be kind of fun, like, you know, because if you were gonna do a DE and you were gonna tie it into Rebellion Saga, having a little bit of a cameo right here could be kind of cool. It's like, what? Why does this guy have Gideon's weapon? What?
I think that character, if his name is Helios, should not be there because he got completely incinerated.
True.
Yeah.
I will say though, a really cool touch. I'm just gonna go back to the Deadlords idea thing. How cool would it be that any characters you lose on Chapter 14 shows up here as bosses? Because they get picked up by Alvaro. That would be, and we could do it too.
You guys have unlimited flags now. So
yeah, exactly. We do. So that would be cool.
One other thing I will say about this chapter before we go on, and one reason it's probably ranked so high that some people may not know, there is a massive number of conversations on this chapter. A huge number. In fact, in order for me to have Nihil show all of them off, he had to play the entire chapter twice with 2 completely different armies of units, just so he could see everyone that can talk
There's
to
so
Alvaro.
many lore bombs dropped in this chapter. You learn about Alvaro and the Plague, Helga's mother, Darius, and Styxia's affiliation with like, you learn so much in this chapter.
The finale of the Jesse and Natalie arc.
Yeah, Natalie and Jesse, like, really having their arc completed by, like, killing their torturer. It's really good.
And I also think that's another reason, like, if you think about maps like this where it's just, and I air quote, cutscene maps, where you're just fighting generic enemies and there's like one little boss at the end, most of those maps are rated low, but this one isn't because it has so much story going on. It really adds to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, if you have Zacharias and he just goes, these abominations must be purged, and he, like, summons his regalia, that's a really cool moment.
That's
like,
my
Kind of shame
only
that Dawn
addition
doesn't
to
get a
this
similar
map.
thing.
What was that, PH?
This is my only addition to this map, the Orbs Fire with Zacharias.
Yep.
I do remember something very funny about this map. Back when Andaron Saga came out, me and a couple of other people really tried to make people believe that Randall is a playable character.
Yeah,
and we actually went as far as making a patch for it, where he
remember.
was a harbinger in this. So it's a very fun map, and I love it a lot more because of that.
Well, he is a harbinger, but
True.
later.
But that he survived, and you
Yeah.
could recruit him with specific conditions.
All right. Well, let's move on to number 9, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're getting into the real good maps.
You need to remove the... Oh, you did.
Rightful Ruler. Love this one. So good.
So this chapter, I worked on it once, then done.
Yep.
Like very few battle change, I'm done.
You
That
nailed it on the
was,
first try. You nailed it on the first try. That's very rare.
The track is amazing. I think the 2-part works well. Of course, you can use physics on Lumina to help on the other side, and I think that's perfectly fine. This is why I give you physics on the previous map. Yeah, I really like how it came out. I love to give generics to the player.
Yeah.
I think
The Drake
it's,
Guard made this so memorable.
Yeah.
Coolest generics in
This
the
chap-
game, I think.
Yeah, this
We were
chapter
so
was
in love
given
with
to
them.
me by monks to be... I think you didn't try your own at it, you gave it to me directly.
Yeah.
But originally your idea was that the center would be green units.
Yeah. Which I'm glad they weren't.
No. And I'm really glad how Tendaris turned out.
He's such a... he is by far, and I know it sounds very biased to say this, but he's my favorite Manakite in any mainline game or any Fanac. I don't know why.
He's just a
He feels
flying
amazing
tank.
to use. He feels amazing to use.
No, I completely disagree. I think he's one of the least fun characters in the game.
Really?
I really hate how low move he has.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
like this
come
section
on.
at all.
If he had any
where you
less,
had to
if he
defend
had
him.
more though, he'd be so broken. My goodness.
No, I get why you balanced him like you did, but I just don't find it fun.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
This map is the perfect opportunity to use that one-use warp staff you, of course, got in Chapter 10.
Of course.
nah, that's a
maybe
bad way to use it. Yeah, it's a good way to use it. That way you can get the boots. You know, the boots.
Yeah, there's
that are on
another
the
incident
terminal
of generic boots in this map. My goodness.
Oh, I
Also,
actually-
can I shout out this map's music?
It's so good, yeah. It's so good.
It's amazing.
Nightman crossed with Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah, right. It is actually a cover. It's not original. This is a cover song.
I
Anyway,
think it's also rated so high because you chase like the 2 objectives on the top right and top left with all your units. All your units have something to do. You have
Yeah.
the middle part. It gets really tense. You have a lot of things to do. That's really nice.
I think the
And then
gameplay is...
reinforcements
Yeah,
from the back.
yes, but they are not dangerous.
no.
Like,
And-
they are kind of slow, but you have some pressure, but without too much pressure, if that
And
makes sense.
I love that when you kill one of the 2 bosses, the other one charges you. It really speeds up the map. And Adrian
Yeah.
is terrifying, man. Like, he's one of the scariest bosses in the game, I think.
Meteor.
Yeah, true.
If you have Ash, this map becomes a lot
Sure,
easier.
you could just nuke him,
Oh.
but yeah.
I think there is a few players that rated this slow, because they didn't kill Umbra on the previous chapter,
Yeah. And then she
Oh.
shows up and bonks you.
and yeah, she will summon a meteor after a while and bonk someone, and then she will bonk even more if you are slow.
Yep. No, it's true. All right.
Also,
Yeah,
this chapter
Patterino?
does something really. This chapter does something really well, but chapter 19, as an example, doesn't do really well. You have something to do from the start.
Yeah.
You start with your army on the bottom, attack the front row of enemies, and that's also a really big.
I
plus.
really like the start of this map. Yeah, you have to you start off fighting like a bunch of generics. I really like it. All right, let's move on to number 8 on the list. It is Grim Reunion.
Okay.
This is probably one of my favorite chapters in the entire game. It's at least top 5, so I'm fine with it being ranked here.
Yeah, this map was inspired by Conquest Chapter 10. That was the idea I had before it. This is a PH map. PH did the whole map. I don't think anyone else touched it. And I basically just told PH, I want to see the
This
defense
map
map.
was pretty much a first try as well.
And not only is
With a
it
lot of
not only is it a really cool gameplay map, but it also, I think this is where the story really kicks up, I think, like narrative-wise.
Yes.
I do find it incredibly sad that Robert gets killed in the chapter he shows up. I wish we're definitely gonna add a few more scenes with him and Isabel, because he kind of shows up and then he dies, which is like
you gonna bring memory prisms from Rebellion Saga to this so we can see a little bit more of him.
That'd be nice, I think, especially considering how popular Robert was in Rebellion Saga. So, but yeah, no, I love this map. This is the map where I see a lot of people really start to enjoy the game, because it's just such a action happens immediately, right from turn 1, and you are just hounded from all sides. I think this is as good as a defense map can get, in my opinion.
You really feel the pressure on this map, especially since, like someone mentioned earlier, you've lost Sam and Theodore, who, even if you've not used them a ton, they are probably your 2 strongest units still, and they're gone for one of the hardest chapters. You really got to lock in and pay attention here.
And I really got to give some props to PH for the unit placement here. Every single wave can be countered by 1 unit, but there is always a single promoted unit in that wave that can counter the unit that can counter the wave. So from the south, you get a bunch of Axe Knights who you can take on with any sword unit, but there's a Duke Knight with a Silver Lance there who can like one-shot Thea or Coulter. And like every wave is like this. Like, oh, here's a wave full of really like inaccurate Axe units or like really like fast sword units. And then there's 1 promoted unit in there that is a big threat to whatever can counter them. So you always have to weigh, can I deal with this? Can I not deal with this? It's so beautifully done.
Yeah,
and yet I find
way.
Yeah, PH first and then Clock.
It's a narrative way to show that obviously this is the Andaron army you are facing. It's not how still, it's the Andaron army. And how versatile they are when they use all the tools they have and when they mix up.
Yeah.
And while they are alone, there is obviously counters to each house, to all of their armies. But when they mix up everything they got, then it's, you have to think more how to counter everything that throw at you.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't happen again, because on chapter 29, each house is completely separate. So that never happens again in the game.
True.
So beside next month.
Okay, Clock.
So I find that if anyone's ever having trouble with what you were bringing up before, Mangs, which is, they all have 1 unit except for the promoted unit. How am I supposed to deal with this? The simple solution is look at the promoted unit's range, put the unit 1 tile out of that unit's range, kill all the weaklings, then have another unit come in and kill up the promoted unit after they've charged. Very easy to deal with once you know this trick.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
And also those bottom barrels, those are a trap. Don't fall for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zacharias can do well on them, but beside him, that's very hard to. Maybe a good Bjarkin.
I also think this map really brings in so many cool units. Haley, who's one of my favorites, and then Shay. You get Shay here. You get Elmer. It's really cool. You can get Boogie here too. A lot of people don't know this, but he shows up here if you didn't get him in the caves. And it's just a lot of there's a lot of cool units in this chapter, and this is where your army really starts to kind of come into their own. This is where you start to promote some units. You might have a Blessed Bjarki or Garam, and it's really nice to see them do work on this map, I think.
And removing Theo on Samuel from the team gives more room for other unit to breathe.
You can deploy almost everyone on this chapter, I think.
Yeah, it's
everyone.
Which is cool.
And for anyone viewing this video in the future, I bet less than 1% of players have seen the secret recruitment. You may not know this, but Elmer can recruit Haley.
Yeah, no one knows this.
They have a whole unique conversation. Nobody ever does it because who the hell's going to do that, right? But
True.
You totally can do it.
It's funny, yeah. One of the little unknown gems. Also, really like the house dialogue at this map. Dave's horse-slaying emporium really cracked me up.
Don't forget when Dave has his brother come back in a chapter or 2.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on.
I do want to say one more thing.
Yep.
Because you have so many units available, you really notice all of their little strengths that you maybe didn't because you didn't use them that much before. And that also encourages you to use them maybe from now on or next playthrough.
Yeah, no, this is like you may not have used Barrett at all, but she can do stuff on this map. You may not have used Runa, but her hunting bow can kill calves. You may not have used Coulter much, but he can steal a bunch of stat boosters. Every unit gets a time to shine in this chapter. Every unit.
Yep.
Before we go to the next one, I am a bit surprised that one chapter hasn't shown yet, considering it's a Fog of War chapter.
We will see.
And it's chapter 14. I am very surprised I have not seen chapter 14.
Well, maybe you'll see it now.
The next map
Let's
being
move
chapter
on
14.
to number 7, the 7th best map in Andaron Saga, and it is... There you go!
Oh, well, there
Exactly.
Well. And I'd like to point out that this chapter still has a 7.84. If that was a movie review rating, this would be like a masterpiece. So this isn't even like a badly rated chapter by any means.
Yeah.
I got a question. Who exactly were you polling for this?
Everyone in the Discord. There were 1,000 people voted.
Okay.
1,000 people ranked every map from 1 to 10. They didn't... Not everyone ranked every map. Like, for example, like the final maps of Andaron Saga. I think 1,000 people ranked Andaron Saga, 700 people ranked Rebellion Saga, to give you an example. So there were a lot less people ranking, because most people haven't maybe played it yet. And I noticed a lot of the maps had blank rankings. So not everyone ranked every map, but this is about as good as it will get, because this is from the Discord. And I also posted it on my channel page, so it may have been reviewed by some people who are not in the Discord. So 1,000 people, I'd say that's a pretty good sample size.
1,000 people rated it so high.
You don't like this chapter, Ephraim. Why don't you start by telling us why you don't like it?
No, Ephraim loves it. He wishes it was rated number 1. Isn't that right, Ephraim?
No!
Why don't you like the map, Ephraim? Tell us.
Because you have to split up, and then you get attacked from behind, and you have to pay all sorts of attention to everything going on, and then...
Dude, that's like 10 maps in this game.
That's what makes it so great.
I don't know if I could articulate it properly without like drawing a bunch of lines and stuff all over the page, but like...
Yeah.
So here's what I have to say about this map, okay? So I understand why some people, like Ephraim, wouldn't enjoy this map. This map is filled with noob traps and things that you literally cannot possibly know on a first playthrough. So here's one example. Beatrice, if you're playing on one of the higher difficulties, I believe she has, what was it? It was Vantage and something else?
Yeah.
She
gets her regalia on Lunatic. She gets the Alistar. Vantage.
Okay, it was
Brave.
I always play on Lunatic, so I forget. But
yeah.
Then you have Samuel. Samuel will attack people. What a lot of people don't know is he won't attack Theodore. He won't attack Lynette. He won't attack Christina. You can cheese him with that. He also doesn't have 2 range, but on your first playthrough, you won't know that. So you get up to him, you're like, how do I deal with this? This guy's so strong. And then on your first playthrough, well, you're also getting cheesed from behind because you're having like this insanely powerful attack force that comes up behind you, and you're like, oh, how do I deal with this? And then there's a ballista. How do I deal with this? So I think this chapter really just slaughters people their first time playing through, and it's filled with noob traps.
Be fair, the ballista is only on
in a
Lunatic.
nutshell.
Yeah, that's true, Norian. Only Lunatic.
I think you can get through a lot of that with torches.
Yeah, PH, let's hear your opinions.
So, this chapter I made just after making chapter 13. Second part.
Yep.
This is where we made a decision to balance Dawn Color route and Zacharias route. And this led to the complete change of the story of Andaron Saga, because I created indirectly Galad, but the first character I created in Andaron Saga, and I think almost the only one, is Dawn.
Yep. I remember.
And Dawn changed completely what would become Andaron Saga, because Faolin, who is not here in this chat, who was a spriter for this game, and he also did some animations.
Yeah.
Came up with the ancestors.
He did.
This.
He did. They weren't part of the plot initially.
And yeah, obviously, he came up with a lot of the lore and monks that into it. And yeah, this was very important. This chapter got nerfed several times. It's still a very hard chapter. Gameplay-wise, my goal was to
I'll be right back.
Be a bit of a mix of chapter 7 on Cog of Destiny. I always wanted to have Alexander come after you there, and obviously when we got the tracks for this chapter, that made it even better. When the tracks get
the music is such a big part.
Is here,
the music changing halfway through is so memorable.
I was scared that this chapter would be very low in the rankings because the gameplay is very tricky. It's one of the hardest chapters in the game by quite far. But it's carried by the story. It's carried by the fact it's the last escape. Like, You have
It's the
been on
end of the
run
first arc.
for-
It's the end of the first arc too.
You have been on the run since chapter 7. You have been facing everyone. You have been escaping, and now this is the final time. You do it for a while.
Yeah.
Because this is a transition from you fleeing to you then traveling and becoming on Jaka taking initiative on what he does, and then at the end you come back and it's you that is on the offensive until chapter 29, of course. And I loved working on this chapter. I loved adding Dawn to it, to this chapter. Have wreck everything with Daybreak.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It's a very small. It's a weird final map.
Yeah.
When you look at this is not the throne room you saw 3 chapters ago. This is a surprise chapter after a surprise chapter, and this is a great way to end the first part of Andaron Saga.
I want to ask people here, does anyone know which chapter in mainline Fire Emblem this is inspired by? Anyone?
I can't think of anything.
Think about it.
Let's see. There's a good chance it comes from FE5. So
Nope. Awakening.
Oh, I've got it. Battle Before Dawn.
That's
Deceit
close.
by Dawn.
It's the Awakening chapter. Don't say her name.
That's
where you're
right.
fighting General.
Yes.
That's the
Andaron.
one. Yeah. That inspired this chapter. I wanted a sad chapter with rain and sad music, and I wanted it to be after Badimon's death, because out of all the chapters in Awakening, that one thematically is one of my favorites, and I really wanted to recreate it because Awakening's kind of bad in other ways, but that chapter it does really well, I think. So
Yes.
I wanted a sad Fallout chapter.
I disagree because I thought everything involving Emerin was really forced and it didn't
Me
work
too.
very well. But if this is your interpretation of that, so much better.
Oh, I hated Emerin stuff, Clock, but I thought the chapter was good. I thought the music, the theme of the chapter was good, even though I didn't care much about Emerin. But yeah, no, this is one of my favorite chapters in the game. I think it is so much fun to play, and it feels like a conclusion of an arc, and it is, essentially.
Shout out someone that isn't here.
Yeah.
The first mug of a very infamous writer for this game, if I remember right.
Who?
Oh.
Yeah.
Who?
So yeah. Shout out to Zelda Crafter for Mommy Beatrice.
Oh right, this was when Zelda Crafter came onto the team. Right.
Yeah. And
But yeah, I will say one thing about this chapter. You know what the biggest problem with Andaron Saga? You guys would know what that is? The first arc is too damn good.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 to 14 is too
Yeah.
good. It's impossible to keep it up. If Andaron Saga was only chapter 1 to 14, if that was like the ending of it, I'm not saying it would have been better. I like that it's a full game, but I don't know where you go from here. It's too good. Like I think that's one of the problems with Andaron Saga is the first arc is simply too good. And it's hard to keep that up after chapter 15.
a comment that struck with me is that thank God chapter 29 made it worth it to play the rest of the game.
True. Anyway, Clock, you want to say something?
That struck with me. Because
So actually-
it was upvoted a lot.
I was going to point out, you mentioned Daybreak earlier with Dawn. I think Daybreak is like the worst tome/weapon in the game. It's good here, and there's no
It sucks
reason to ever
afterwards.
use it ever
Yeah.
again.
Agreed.
It needs something else, especially because it's her PRF tome.
It's very good on chapter 30.
True.
Like, it's
That's
good,
what
right?
I'm
It's not a
saying.
bad tome to use. It's strong, but it's just kind of blit. Like, it doesn't have its niche. It has its niche here and then nowhere else.
It's good in Teamate as well. In Teamate, you face Anima all the time, but in the next arc, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It feels so bad. But she has Dawn Color.
PH and I and Clock have said a lot. Anyone else want to chip in before we move on?
I've got some stuff for this one. This is my personal favorite chapter in the game from a pure story perspective because it is really like the culmination of Theodore's arc in particular, with the conversation he has both with Beatrice and Samuel. The Sam conversation of him pointing out, I was going to give you a Londa, you could have had everything you ever wanted, and Theodore just popping back with, you don't understand me at all. That would not be what I want. I'll stand by her no matter what.
Yeah.
It hits so hard because he's the one character I think more than anyone else has actual development through the game.
Should have been the main character.
Love Theodore. Yeah, but he's got more development than Jaka, I'll say
He's better
that.
than Jaka, actually.
Dawn coming in, you feel the relief of Dawn coming in to help you, because like if you're going into this blind, this is an intimidating chapter where again you're coming off the prison, you maybe lost some people to the Steel Knights if you don't know what's happening. Dawn shows up, she solos that whole top part for you. You feel like, oh my god, I have a strong unit that can help me out. She's good against Sam. You can pass around the Dawn color. She's good against Beatrice to at least bait her because she has the resistance to take the Alistor. It feels good. This chapter feels good to like just help you out.
I gotta point out, whoever named this chapter, I don't know who, but this chapter name is so good because it has multiple meanings. It's both Deceit by Dawn and it's Deceit by Dawn. It's so good.
Well, remember, we had an entire voting. We had an entire voting.
Let's hear Dawn. Let's speak now because we've talked a lot.
I want to add to what Zev said. I absolutely agree. This is probably one of the most emotional chapters in the game because Baudemon's death still hasn't quite kicked in for a lot of players yet.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he comes back somehow, and it just feels like everything went wrong. It shouldn't be like this. It feels almost uncanny when you compare it to many other FE games. And I think that adds to it so much.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, guys, let's move on. Unless anyone has anything they really want to say.
We just hit the 2-hour mark. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's move on, guys. Map number 6 is Malthrak Ablaze. Okay.
High ranking.
All right. Would anyone who has not said a lot up until now, would they like to start this off? Like,
sure, I will start.
PH, you've talked a lot.
This map is a pure dopamine rush because you get reward all the time. Obviously,
True.
why people
14
like
villages to visit or 15. It's a lot.
That's it.
Yep.
You get the best stuff in the game in this map. I don't know why so many, why so many people fail it, but you get a very good item in here.
I'm going to give one.
I'm pretty sure you need to sack like 4 units to get the warp staff.
Yeah.
I was being sarcastic. I think when I said I think you need to sack like 4 units to get the warp staff.
True, but you don't really.
So
yeah, Cluck?
I'm going to give my one criticism of this map, and I have nothing else to say. The villages in this map are terrible. The dialogue for the villages. I was in a rush. I didn't really have a lot of time to write them. They do not match the tone of the map at all. They're too funny. They need to be toned way more down, become way more serious to match like the gravity of what's happening. It's okay to have like one funny horse slayer guy or whatever, but like the rest of them, this needs to be like a serious scene. That's all I have to say.
What I really like about the chapter is it feels chaotic. There's like a lot of units coming from left, then from the right, when the Ashbirds are coming from the right as well, and you feel like, oh god, this is going down right now. This gives a really good feel about how the map kind of goes with the story. Everything burns down, the rebellion, Randall has to step up, and he doesn't.
Yeah, chaos. It's pure chaos, and that's what I really tried to hammer home with this map, and I think PH nailed it. It was
that's a success.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gave me my favorite tool.
The Ashburn Knights. The Ashburn Knights, yeah.
It's the most straightforward enemy you need to beat.
Yep.
Yeah, you feel like an idiot if you lose to them.
You clog a choke point to beat them.
And I gotta ask you guys, what do we think about Hubert?
Hubert is literally me. 10 out of 10.
You like Hubert?
I dislike him.
I also not really a fan of Hubert.
Hubert is perfect. Hubert is why you don't stay on.
I will not stand for the slander.
Wow, another
I think it was a good chapter.
A little bit too comedic.
So
I think it was a good chapter to have some comedy before it gets serious.
Yeah, he's like the last joke character before it gets too serious.
Well, do you guys remember when I made Natalie and everyone said she's too stupid, she's a dumb joke character, nobody will ever like her, and Dawnlock keeps saying that. But then everyone said that, and then, you know, she had like her big redemption at the end of the game. I think Hubert's kind of could be the same sort of thing. Like, obviously he's a stupid idiot joke character, but if he had more development, if he were recruitable, or if some other thing were to happen, I think he could have been redeemed.
A lot of people wanted Hubert to stay in the party after recruited. I considered it, I found him too jokey almost. I think he would have, like, having Hubert be down in chapter 13 reacting to Baudemon's death, it just didn't feel right.
I think there is an easy solution for him.
Yeah.
Let's just put him in jail instead of Crixus, or make him the secret character for challenge modes and things like that.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Put him in jail.
No.
Yeah.
Because Crixus is a very funny unit to use.
Yeah, but he
But
sucks.
as a character, he is the worst thing in this game.
Agreed.
Well, he and Hubert
He's
are both
worse than
nothing.
the death battle.
Yeah, he and Hubert are both nothing.
Kind of.
You remove Crixus, you put Hubert in, you've still got nothing, but at least you got nothing you could develop who was previously in the story. So
Yeah.
there you go.
True.
I would honestly prefer if he was just, maybe he helps you out this chapter, but you can recruit him later.
Yeah.
That would fix a lot of it.
Yeah, and then you could tone him down a bit.
He's a
By the way-
secret event in chapter 29, I think.
Yeah, but no one sees that.
By the way,
you
going
got
back
it
to
in
the
that
previous
game
chapter,
later, so.
Okay.
Going
I
back to
think
the
this
previous
is a great
chapter?
introduction. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Clock.
well, Mings, you were talking about who came up with the name for Deceit at Dawn. It was you. So you've been giving yourself a fun.
Oh wow, I didn't even remember that. But yeah, I mean, Obama.
Sucky over
Obama
here.
giving Obama medal.png. That's all I'm just gonna say here.
There's actually
Clock.
one thing
Something for
I
this
would have
map?
changed.
Yes, Seb?
Go ahead, Pat. I'll keep this one quick then, Pat. I would have liked Isabel to stay on the map a little bit longer as a green unit, to have her like coordinate the city defense more and show, okay, yeah, Randall's an absolute jackass. We killed Robert. Thorgrim's dead. We haven't met Galahad yet, but we see Isabel like she's actually got it locked in. You realize, wow, there is someone in House Steel that's like not on our side necessarily, but she's not bad. She's
Yeah.
actually like helping people. She's doing all this. I think it would have been nice to have her stay around like another turn or two.
The
like,
reason I don't
defending.
do that, or the reason I did, because I didn't want Baudibon to be able to talk to her.
He can.
Wait,
But he
there's-
can go in range.
He can go in range, but yeah, I didn't want them to interact yet, because otherwise she would just join you right there and then. Maybe we'll let her join early.
Well, I was actually going to suggest you should be able to make her join here, but I think you can make it a little convoluted, make multiple characters need to talk to her first.
Yeah.
So not just Baudimon, Jaka, and maybe some other people. all at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same
I think
time.
it's a good idea. Make that recruitment pretty hard. Like she knows Jaka, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, she needs to talk to 2 or 3 people to be convinced. But if you don't do it here, she can still be recruited if you avoid her next map.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's more Isabel
Good idea.
content.
Okay,
Yes.
Patarina, you get the last say.
Okay, it's basically a Harriet little event on the top when she's going into the house. If you rescue the soldier that is on top of a house, and there's like this little conversation that is really sweet, that makes Andaron Saga finding out these little secrets,
Yeah.
and it's even in the midst of all the chaos, you can find a little gem.
And I will just end with this. I love replacement characters.
No.
Harriet is a replacement character. I like having units like that. Backup staff units.
I wanted to
That's
say one more thing.
Okay, Don, last say.
Yeah, I wanted to say I really enjoyed how she was introduced here, and she is one of my favorite characters in the game.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the 5th. Now we're going to the top 5, ladies and gentlemen. The top 5. Woo! Number
There
1.
it is.
Really
There it
interesting.
is.
That's good. The fact that we have the first map be in the top 5, that's a success, I think. It's important.
Thank you, DS Noon.
Yeah, this is a DS new map.
Wow.
I hate those houses in the middle though. We need to fix that. You see that house in the middle with the
Yeah, I actually fixed
Roofs
that
do
in
not
Recon.
work that way.
I actually think Atlas, our new map designer, I actually think he's reworked this chapter, or he's made it prettier. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But anyway, does anyone have any? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna say this is the most effective first chapter in any game I've ever played. Okay, that's it.
I'll say what I said in my notes from beta testing all that time ago. This is a map that comes out swinging. There's action from the get-go. You've got a lot of units to play around with. That's a good start to any game.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 is so good, we made it again in Rebellion Saga.
Pretty much. All right.
Both of
So
them
this
are
is
pretty
the
similar.
this is the old map. This is the new.
Oh, the houses
Okay.
look the same. One nice.
The houses still look the same, but Atlas has made it prettier.
Yeah, I like the grass. That's a good addition.
Yeah. But you're right, Norian. We did indeed make it again in Rebellion Saga. Music
listen,
I
also.
don't know
Listen,
you had archers on roofs and things.
Yeah. Clock, you want to
So
say
listen,
something?
For any viewers or anyone who's an aspiring hack creator, if there's one lesson that you can take from Andaron Chapter 1, it's not bad that you have a lot of units to start with, but I've seen so many hacks make this mistake. They vomit like 8 or 9 units out at the start. You don't have time to introduce them. What we did was we had them trickle in one turn at a time. You start off with just two. Those are your core 2 characters. You introduce a few more, and then by the end of the chapter, you have like, what, 6, 7, 8 characters, something like that?
Yeah.
It's a lot more manageable. It's a lot easier for the player to get introduced to all of them. I would recommend you just rip us off. Like, we won't even mind. Just rip us off and make it good.
Yep, I agree.
Where did you learn such a technique?
I definitely took. I think I've taken it from a hack. I just don't remember which.
Shusuke did that, I think, in a few of the CME.
Seb, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think one of the really big things about this map, because I've actually introduced some of my friends to hacks through Andaron Saga that have only played, like FE8, FE7. The fact that this map has enforced casual mode just for this map actually helped them out a lot. They, they were playing on normal mode, but they've never played like a developed hack or something like that. It's difficult for them. But the fact that this first chapter has casual mode really did help them kind of understand, oh, I have to actually pay attention here or my units will die.
My idea behind adding casual mode was simply that people are a lot more likely to continue playing a hack if they don't lose a unit on turn 7 and rage quit. We put the casual mode on, we say it's a one-time deal. In this chapter, you get to lose your unit. Next chapter onwards, it gets serious, but because usually you gotta hook a player in by the first chapter. If the first chapter isn't good, they're not gonna continue playing your hack. So my idea was, let's just give them that free pass, but just let them know it's a one-time thing.
There is at least one person that complained about losing body mode this chapter, which...
How do you do that?
I don't know.
I
removed the Devil Axe.
Let's let Norian speak.
I remember when this chapter had game over conditions.
Yep.
Like, every character was a game over.
Yep.
Awful.
Terrible. Radiant Dawn mechanics.
Yeah,
but also, sorry.
Dunlop?
What I have to say about this map is what is doing really well. Going from clock statement from before, you get like a unit like every turn, and every unit does something. Like, I hate ROM hacks where you get like a bunch of units and you only use 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because they clutter up at some point of a map, or they don't have anything to do. Every single unit does something. You get a good unit feel, you get to know their abilities, and in the next chapter, you can use them properly again.
Very important. Very important to make units feel useful as they come in, for sure. All right, anyone has any closing thoughts before we move on to number 4?
Nope.
Yeah, should we take bets on the next one?
There's only a few left.
There's only a few left, so I think we'll just move forward.
All right, what I was going to say was regarding the casual mode stuff, Mangs, because this chapter's casual mode, if you lose a character and then it tells you that you're on casual mode, what this also does is this tells the player, oh, this game isn't casual mode, because a lot of people are actually going to approach this like a traditional RPG. I'll just keep using characters even if they're dead on the next chapter, like Final Fantasy. And this tells them, oh, I can't do that, actually. I have to be more careful starting next chapter.
Yeah. That was my goal, so I think it's important to do that. Ease players into it. All right, let us move on, guys, to number 4 on the list, which is Prison Break. I'm surprised this wasn't number 1, honestly.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't expect this. I expect it to be number 2, actually.
Oh,
really?
This is an old map. This is a really old map.
I explained it. I thought it would be Chapter 7.
I was thinking that too.
So...
this map. You start monks because you made the first part.
This map starts off, I think, tricking a lot of players. It's just a Tracia prison map, right? And I think a lot of people go into this being like, oh, I gotta hurry. But the trick of this chapter is you actually don't need to hurry at all. This is an ambush, and they're waiting for you to get in line. PH made the second part of this map. He introduced Albert, which is just chef's kiss. Best character introduction, I think, ever.
Yeah, this was my idea.
Oh yeah, the escape part was PH. And I just gotta say, I think going through the jail, looking for prisoners, I think a lot of characters, a lot of players expect to just find Baudemont in a cell, break him out, and run away. And the fact that they find him and he's dead, I think I'm so proud of that plot twist, and that credit to Clock for writing that. That really made this chapter memorable. I'm also noticing, by the way, that Cyan has pulled an old map in here, because we have the little corridor in the top. That is definitely not there. This is an old version of the map, because Mortimer used to come through that corridor until we found out we could just have him send an illusion.
Yeah. He just stood there monologuing. Yeah. Oh, let me tell you my evil plan. Well, anyway, bye, suckers.
Yeah, it was so stupid. Yeah.
Then,
Go, Seb?
Oh, sorry. I have a lot I could say. I'm not going to say a lot. I'm just going to say that this chapter has two big mistakes on it from a story perspective. The first mistake is Jesse is way too funny of a character for this chapter. In New Dawn, I'm swapping him with Coulter, so Coulter's a more serious character, and Crixus is a mistake too. He's way too funny, like he's too stupid of a character. And imagine that 2% of players are having like the seriousness of the story ruined by Crixus. So those are the two hugest mistakes that this chapter makes from a story perspective.
Yeah. What was the chance of Crixus even appearing? Was it like 1% or something?
2%.
2%, okay.
Yeah.
I think Jesse is fine because he comes very early into the chapter, or he's already there if Coulter is dead.
Yeah.
And he gives you a tone that is, it is funny, but yet it's not that funny.
He's sad. He's a sad character.
Yeah. And
he also serves as misdirection.
The way he talks when he finds Baudemont with you, he's sad for you, and I think it's a good introduction for him. It's a really good introduction.
I agree.
And man, when Galahad shows up, oh my goodness, it is the best escape chapter I think we ever made.
Yes.
And and I'm so impressed, PH. There's not that many enemies. I mean, sure, there's Steel Knights, but I'm actually very surprised how you managed to make a chapter feel so oppressive with so few enemies.
Yeah, it's. I had to change a bit the layout to do that, but it's. I really like how it came out ultimately. Of course, this is not the last time I will make you run in this game.
Of course not, but.
But this sets expectations for later, because this is the easiest of the escapes.
It's actually a very easy chapter. A lot of people probably think it's hard, but most people get it on their first try.
I love Albert.
Norian?
I think this is probably the best design I made.
Yeah.
Very good, Norian. I think you will like that.
You get the ideal tool to deal with everything in this chapter, Albert. He's my favorite character of Andaron Saga. He carried my first run, he carried my draft, and he's a very good character. Story-wise and gameplay-wise, he works very well.
I'm very happy with him.
I also want to say, I remember the very first time I played this during beta testing, on Lunatic, might I add, as my first run.
Of course.
And I remember, the chaos really starts after Baudemont dies. I was thinking, okay, I'll go the upper route, and then suddenly Galahad appears, and you're like, oh shit, and you immediately turn back. And that made it very memorable as well from a gameplay perspective.
And just because of that, PH added a line from Jesse or Coulter where they say, please go south, because a lot of people would go north and they'd get trapped.
Yeah, especially in hard mode where Galahad comes later. Because when they go in that corridor, there is more Steel Knights, and then they are sandwiched way more easily than in Lunatic. Lunatic is straightforward. Galahad is here in one turn.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. But the free turn of hard mode made it harder on the 7th turn of normal mode.
Yeah, rare. Like, it's kind of funny how that actually makes it harder.
Yeah.
Also, the music that plays in this chapter, at least in Phase 1, Last Rites, it is so ominous. I love it.
And then the escape theme is also fantastic.
Run.
It's called Run.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
One of my favorite little things that
Yeah, Clock first, then Seb.
One of my favorite little things that I didn't discover about this chapter until after the game released was that it is difficult, it may be even impossible for base Albert to kill Galahad, especially on Lunatic mode, but all you gotta do is boost his resistance by 7 with the booster staff, I forget what it's called. You just do that, and apparently he just dumpsters him if he's got the tome equipped. Yeah, it's that easy.
But then Galahad can bring out his Master Lance on your toast. You gotta do it quickly.
No. You use Angelus, you do dance, you do a little bit of
Yeah,
rescue
it's
staff
possible to
shenanigans.
kill him.
That's how
It's
you do it.
possible to kill him for sure. People have done it. It's possible, but it's
Yeah,
rare. It's hard.
Yeah, of course, it's possible.
Okay, Sev.
If you just give a speed wing to Albert, he doesn't get doubled by Galad. So.
True. Okay, Sev. Closing thoughts.
Yeah, this chapter, another one of my favorites. I really like the gameplay of this one specifically because if you've trained a unit like Theodore or Garum, they can really be like your secondary carry behind Albert to help you just smash through that southern part. We saw it with Davis, who he didn't even have the Ash Cleaver on Garum in his Iron Man playthrough, and he's just cleaving through them no problem. To where if you know what's coming, you can prepare for this chapter and really just kind of own it in a really satisfying way.
I actually think I nerfed the Steel Knights, and PH wasn't very happy with me because they used to have a lot more defense and rest to the point where only Albert
Ultimately,
could
they have the numbers I want.
Yeah, but they used to be stronger. They used to have, I think, 5 more defense and rest
So
across the
what
board.
happens is that you have the corridor Steel Knights that are very strong, even in current version, but the ones that are, on the path south, on that are isolated, are way easier to beat.
For sure, yeah. Okay. Top 3, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it gets cool. Okay, top
Final
3.
chapter.
The top 3 is going to be...
The bronze medal goes to...
Wait.
two at the
Scalies
same time.
above.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
So
PH,
31
this
will be
is
first.
this is your Magnum opus. Magnum opus.
Magnus Opum.
This is
The
your
Magnus
Magnus
opus.
Opum, PH. I think this is the best map you've ever made.
I agree.
Sure. I will disagree.
What's interesting is that a lot of people, we've gotten a lot of complaints. People don't like the reinforcements getting dumped on you. I think it's beautiful because you're fighting the Dragon Nation. Of course, they're going to airlift forces in on top of your head. I love it because it shows that Timaeus fights so differently from any other nation. They have wyverns, they have flyers, and they use those flyers tactically by airdropping like paratroopers onto you. It's so cool.
That's what they were doing?
Yeah. Dragons fly in and dump off units.
All I have to say to that is, interesting maneuver.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work with Pegasi because Pegasi are frail little horses, but Dragon's strong.
Wyverns can carry like 2 or 3 soldiers easily.
I think this is.
Do you want to
supposed
know how heavy a unit my Pegasus Knight has airlifted? Sorry.
Norian?
I think this is the poster child of Andaron Saga. Like, this is the map that everyone shows you. Yeah, this is Andaron Saga. This is the real deal.
Yeah. And I gotta admit, the reason why I wanted Chapter 7 to be difficult is because I wanted it to mirror Binding Blade. Binding Blade Chapter 7, also one of the coolest and hardest chapters in the game. I wanted Chapter 7 of Andaron Saga to be one of the coolest and hardest chapters. And I'm very glad it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, I'll talk a bit about this.
Yeah, sure.
This is the first chapter I designed for this game.
It is, yeah.
It is the first chapter I designed for this game. I guess I was on a roll with 7 and 8. Chapter 3 was an afterthought because it was actually me that redid Monk's work on it.
Yeah.
But it was very basic with what Monks did. I didn't do much, so I did something very basic after it. Something very basic.
This chapter
But
feels like it...
This chapter,
yeah, sorry,
I knew
keep going.
exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted, the flyers to come from the side, drop enemies, a bit of inspiration from Tricia from that one chapter.
There it is.
Chapter. Hey, Tricia did.
This feels
Tricia
like a
did
Tracia map.
ideas.
This feels like a map that could be in Tracia.
Okay, I was
Tricia
actually
had a lot
going
of
to talk
good
about
ideas,
that.
but poor execution.
Yeah. Clock?
Isn't this straight up just that map from FE? Not
I
just.
feel,
but
I feel
that-
like I feel like when you gave me the plan for this map that we're working on, you basically told me this one. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a chapter in Thracia that's pretty much exactly what
I
it
will
is.
show you guys exactly which map I showed to Lemon
It's a
Tart.
long, tall,
Yeah.
vertical chapter. There's like a little shaft on the left side, but most of it's just straight down the middle. And I also remember there's an arena at the very bottom of that chapter, and I know that because I
Isn't that
spent
the,
4.5 hours on that arena.
Yep.
It's
I
the
will.
map that's
I will
after
show
the,
you.
the
I will
Mancer
show
arc,
you
isn't
guys the. I will show you the map that I. This was the map I handed to Lemon Tart, and I said make this. So you are not wrong, actually. So let me just find it real quick. So yeah, I found it right here, and I think all of you are gonna see it and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Is
yeah.
that-
Yep.
It is-
There was another one. There was another one in
There,
there.
yeah,
that's
I think-
100%.
But this
That's
is
what
the
I was
map. When I this is the one I wanted to make. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna let anyone who hasn't played FE5 know this right now. The map in Andaron Saga is way better than the FE5 one
Oh,
because
this
the
sucks.
FE5 one
This
is
is
a lot
an awful
narrower.
map.
It's a lot taller. It's a lot skinnier. It takes a lot longer to traverse. You're probably on it for 3 to 4 times longer than the Andaron Saga map.
And you can completely cheese it by placing units in the squares that the boss spawn, which will shut off all reinforcements. Such a stupid oversight. Anyway. Anyone else want to talk about Chapter 7?
Yes.
And the chapter I was thinking about
doubt-
was,
Okay.
I think it was 14x from Thracia. And having a look at it, it's way narrower than what this is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I want to address something before we move to the next one. It's Leonora, of course, because, this is the first true anti-turtle mechanic you face into Andaron Saga. But
Yeah,
it's not that
Okay,
hard to beat.
that's eerie, actually. Yep, I see it now. Sorry, I just needed to show Chapter 14x.
Yeah.
It's even more similar,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, of
PH.
Yeah, so Leonora is a bit controversial, of course. It's the first anti-turtling mechanic you will see in Andaron Saga. The true one, I guess. There is that Cyclops in Chapter 6. And if you beat her, of course it leads to Ash being unlocked.
Mhm.
And I think it's such a cool thing that Ash is not a character you will get on replay, and this chapter will be very hard on your first playthrough.
Yep.
So this is, the first thing you do when you play Andaron Saga for the second time. Yeah, I'm going to beat Leonora this time. And then
Blasting.
you get a reward later.
Blasting.
for it.
Blasting was made, and blasting is what people love doing.
Yeah.
Boogie
By
blast,
the way,
garum blasts. It's
Disagree.
created so many cool strategies.
By the way, the
I
easiest blast
absolutely
is
hate
Zacharias
blasting.
blast. But
I agree.
You don't need to blast to get Ash. Like, the Kurt is right there, and he's the solution to how to get.
to beat
Ash.
Leonora, that's very simple. You just attack Leonora with the Dragon Axe on another unit, like Fyodor, for example. Then you use the rescue staff twice.
True.
Can we
That's
also remember to give credit to Drip Lucas? He was the one who invented the concept of blasting, as far as I remember.
True, yeah,
he
it was-
certainly
that was
made
him.
it into the meme it was. He made that famous video.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah,
we
I
can't go
wanna
off this
say-
chapter without mentioning, the recent for the past year, the Davis G Big Iron Kurt. Like, that's
Yeah.
popping up everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
come on, you gotta love the Davis G Big Iron
Kurt,
Kurt.
Kurt has probably the best introduction of any Andaron Saga character ever.
Beside Albert, yeah.
Beside Albert, yeah. He comes in, he can counter plus, he shoots down wyverns, he's just amazing.
Don't forget the troll moment this chapter has, where Kurt comes up and snipes that wyvern with the blue gem. That's
Of
always
course,
funny.
I gave a blue gem to that wyvern. Of course, I did.
Could have always been boats.
Also, what a lot of people are overseeing is Samuel. Also has a lot of weight on this map.
Yeah, for sure.
With the bow.
What I wanted to say, I actually don't like Leonora specifically because of the blasting, because I think having a unit that has so many more levels than you would normally have makes the next chapters a lot less fun. Personally.
Yeah.
I agree.
We just
I
make her give
think-
no EXP.
My opinion on that is that sure that makes chapter 8 very easy. But despite that, even another leveled unit is probably not as strong as Samuel will be with his Rosethorn.
No, they definitely are. I remember in one of my Ironmans I did it with
Oh.
Garrett, and I had so little fun in the following chapters, up to like 14, that I just stopped playing after that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it became very unfun.
It's not 50
Oh my god, I
levels,
found
like-
it. I found it. So, there's a meme. There's a meme that was posted on Feg when Andaron Saga came out. And it is the best thing I have ever seen.
Oh yeah, that one, yeah.
This is the best meme I've ever seen. This is the best, but this is so good.
It's red, right to the left.
I love his expression.
Meet my iron kid.
Okay. Anyone
Not
else
that
have
you
anything?
like need more money in this game, but you know.
Sure, you do get a lot of money. Anyone has anything they want to say before we move on to number 2?
Just one last thing. So
Yeah.
I want to praise the dev team because this is the first map that brings in, you know, the Death Squad reinforcements, and I want to praise the dev team for your restraint and not putting these on half the chapters in the game to the point that the player base complained about it. It was real restraintful of you guys not to do that. Thankfully, it was only this map and maybe like one other, no others.
Are you being sarcastic? I can't tell.
No
He
way.
is.
I would never
Oh.
be sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not as if I did that for half my chapters.
This
people
is
who
a
just
very
like
insightful video, I must say.
Mhm.
I'm glad I'm here.
Okay. Well, let's move on, guys.
Number 2.
Anyway, let us... Number 2. This is going to be an interesting one. So we only have 2 chapters left. Let's see which one it is.
29.
Light's
Oh,
Return.
God.
Interesting. Well, I know what the last
Very
one's going to
surprised
be.
it's not number 1.
Mhm.
I'm still.
That's one
Wait,
better.
you guys liked Final Fantasy 13? No.
So, yeah, I worked really hard on this map. I think it's a month of work in total between the 2 phases.
This is the best map you ever did, by the way.
And
No,
yet
but
I am
I will say it.
I'm very
all the
happy
time.
with this map, but I hate Phase 2.
This map has a lot of faults that you can, now that we have unlimited flags, you can easily fix this
Yeah.
in Definitive Edition. And one of the big ones was, I remember,
So many
this
boss
was probably-
combos that we
This was
should have
probably
had.
this was probably the most rushed map in Andaron Saga. Here's the first thing that we can do. I wanted to have Varg have a conversation with every ancestor. I wanted every single descendant to have a conversation with their ancestors. Only some of them did. As far as I remember, I don't know if Jesse has one with
No.
his ancestor.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, there's a bunch that were skipped over. There were some other bugs that we had, like you can't talk talk to Mortimer in the end if you missed up a certain talk earlier on. I don't remember exactly. I remember something like Zari and someone else shared a flag.
Yeah.
And that meant, there was lots of bugs related to flags with this chapter during
And
dialogue.
Dawn and
So-
Zacharias not having talks with Morty is criminal, right? They should have a battle
Yes,
conflict.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We really had to pick and choose which talks to put in there.
Yeah.
And there were some that I had ideas for that were so good, couldn't put them in.
Didn't the Secret House Claymore dude? Didn't he just have no conversations whatsoever?
Pretty
Well, the
much
Claymore
very
guy
few. The
had
Claymore guy
flag.
did not. Yeah, I didn't have flags for him. He
Yeah,
was just a joke character.
Yeah.
But I will say
Keep
this.
in mind, we will not even have the memory to give him conversations.
Yeah. Now, yeah, we didn't have, and also like ROM space was a big issue. But I will say, conversations aside, I'm very happy with phase 1 of this map. I wanted to create a map where you had to use your entire roster, hence the gimmick of killing the walls while Mortimer pelts you with random things. I do think that the randomness of this map was maybe not super well received by some people, because some of the things Mortimer does are a lot more harsh than others. But I will say, I'm really proud of phase 1. I hate phase 2. I think phase 2 drags on way too much, and I don't like Mortimer summoning shadows. I want to completely redo phase 2 in Definitive Edition, something completely different. But phase 1, I'm very, very proud of.
Well, you should be.
And does anyone else have anything to add about the story?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll do Dawnlot and Potterino.
Yes. I really like Mortimer, and the fact he summons Asmodeus completely, I absolutely hated that.
Agreed.
So I'm glad-
Agreed, Dawnlot. It was
Yeah.
stupid. I agree. Absolutely.
That was just, I think we can all agree
Gameplay-wise,
that's just blamed on like too much rush at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really escalated everything in my view. But
Well, there's actually a
It
very
didn't
simple
stick him at all.
solution. All you got to do, you just have Asmodeus just like punch the air and he just breaks through or something. He doesn't have to be summoned. He can just break through. He's at the shrine. It's like a nexus point or something. Easy to fix.
It
Potterino?
kind of felt so off with. I wanted to say this exactly the same as Donut. It felt so off because he wanted to be the savior, and then he summoned Asmodeus.
I wanted him
his
to be a
sworn
hypocrite,
enemy.
but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I don't need to add any more to that. We all know.
Yeah, I agree. His character got a little butchered towards the end there. The idea was, oh, look at him. He's so hell-bent on winning that he's willing to do whatever it takes. Okay, light Yagami, we get it.
This would have worked for the first Mortimer.
Yeah, it would.
the one that wasn't a Lightbringer. But
True. A
not
lot of
this-
people
yeah.
don't know that was a change we made very late into development. He was just a stale guy to begin with. So, but yeah.
It's also-
But Mortimer's characters aside, I really one thing that always annoys me with Fire Emblem chapters, especially final maps, is that they devolve into usually a solo fest by a lot of characters. You can usually just power through final bosses with one strong unit. I wanted to make a map where that did not happen.
I played Awakening on Lunatic, and I defeated Grima the Fell Dragon in,
Yeah.
I think, 2 turns. And it could have been 1 turn, but I was trying to be careful. I thought there'd be some secret. No, dude, you just beat him in 2 turns. It's that easy.
Final bosses in Fire Emblem are so bad. Radiant Dawn Sashera is the only boss fight that is even a little bit interesting, and even that kind of falls flat. I wanted just
You
a
have some
final
plans
boss
for that.
fight where you use every single unit in your army and they all have to work together to beat the final boss.
Well,
I
I
suppose,
wanted to do that
Seb,
in Rebellion
let's-
Saga, but the boss was a bit too strong.
We'll get there. Seb?
Have you seen my Maniac Ashnard strategy?
No. But let's not talk about Path of Radiance now. Seb?
I think one of the most interesting conversations that Mortimer has is against Ahmed of all
Yes.
people, where he just drops that lore dump on you and just like, wait, what? That totally recontextualizes Darius to where I know a lot of people are really like excited, like, what is going to happen with Darius and Andaron Saga 2 because of that one conversation.
Him being the husband
that
of Morgana
conversation-
was great.
I put that in because we had debated it earlier in development, but I do regret putting it in specifically because you really need to go back earlier in the game and hint at this more. And a big thing that I'm trying to fix in New Dawn with Ahmed, I'm going to be completely reversing the way he talks. So his loud blah blah blah, that voice is going to be like the normal text box, and then his sinister black text box, that's going to be like when his real self is speaking. Just by doing that little change, by making him more sinister with the dark text box and stupid and jovial with the white text box, you just swap those around, you immediately have a way better character going on. And then that reveal later on in the game isn't like just so out of nowhere.
Yeah. Anyway, anyone else have anything to say about this
Yes.
chapter before we move on? Yeah?
I think it was a really nice touch that all the regalias got taken away from the start and given to the ancestors. All the sweet, cool tools you had to break the game before and kill everything in your path, just gone, and you have to fight back for it. It was a really nice touch. As you mentioned, you really wanted to show it off, that you have to use different kinds of units to get your sweet items back. It was really well shown here, because you can't just break through with one character anymore.
You can't
You have
solo
Galahad?
on the Saga, no, it's not possible. Yeah, Noreen?
Yeah.
I think this chapter is really good for replay value as well. Like you guys said, many conversations. And on replay you said, yeah, but what if I use Christina instead of Theodore?
Yeah.
What does she say to Rosella? And so on. So that's also really good.
Yeah, it's cool. Very cool. All right.
So now for my favorite chapter.
Yeah, everyone
It's a
knows. Everyone knows what's coming up. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. Chapter 29.
On it's a stomp. It's more than half a point than the other ones.
I am
It's
so surprised that this is number 1 because the amount of people raging about this chapter at launch was insane. The complaining on Discord.
I expected chapter 14 to be number 1.
This is such a. I mean, I'm glad this ranked 1 because this is really the final battle of Andaron Saga. And for those who doesn't know, it was supposed to be the final battle of Andaron Saga. The original ending of Andaron Saga had everyone die in this chapter. You lose. And then the devs
So-
came to me and was like, let's not.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know, right?
How would the plot have gone then if you had actually done that original
Jaka
ending?
escapes on a boat, and I was gonna maybe shoehorn some children in there somehow and make like a Gen 2 Fire Emblem 4 style. But
Yeah, and I think Jaka saves Amon. That was like the big thing. It was him and Amon, and then
Yeah.
maybe someday they'd come
and a
back.
few other units that goes on the ship, and then everyone else dies.
So this chapter
Yeah.
famously took me more than 9 months to make.
Yep.
Which is more than probably all my other chapters combined.
A lot of effort went into this one. A
But-
lot.
So, no. The thing is, yeah, efforts went in, as much as chapter 17, I would say. But the reason it took me so long, of course, I had a first version that was a huge draft with waves and things like that, but that didn't work out. It was too complex code-wise.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't want to finish this chapter, I finished chapter 30 before this one, was because I didn't want development to be over.
Yeah.
This was something for me that was... I was scared to finish the game. I was scared not for the reception, but because I was having so much fun.
I remember.
Now-
I had to be like, PH, come on now. I had to like force. I had to twist your arm to finish this chapter.
Yeah, but this is the reason why it took so long. Not because I...
And what a chapter it turned out to be. You face every single noble house, every single except Darkholm. And it's just a slaughter, right? It's like ships from the back, every noble house charges at you. Reinforcements from Timite, Hornheim, and Styxia all come in. It was an absolute slaughter and a beautiful one, I think.
So even though this map is ranked number 1, I think there's a few big flaws with it, and they basically all boil down to the same issue as the previous map, which is a lack of flags. We
Agreed.
really needed more flags
Agreed.
during development.
So many
And
talks.
there was a lot of dialogues that I thought could have been in this chapter. We just didn't have room for them. And we were trying, at this point, I remember we were trying to save flags to prioritize for talks on the final battle. So hey, maybe we slip those in during DE.
Agreed. Norangai, this is your favorite chapter, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like, best chapter, it's the high point of Andaron Saga. Like, it can't really get any higher because all houses just slaughter on first and the Ashburns charge in like they always do. And this time you actually have a really good fighting chance against them.
Yeah, you really get to... Your units have truly become monsters at this point, and watching them like just tear through the noble houses is very satisfying.
Yeah, I'm really glad that this turned out. I would take this.
Yeah,
As
almost
This
a
is-
9 point. That's insane. Out of
Yeah, there is more
1,000
than
people,
half a point.
out of 1,000 people who did this survey, almost everyone ranked it a 9 or higher. That's insane. That's insane when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like, how does that even happen? Like,
It's because of the music.
It's the soundtrack.
I agree.
yes.
The music adds a lot. Treat Star outdid himself with this track. Best track he ever
Siege
made.
of Holtmeyer and The Looming Gaze of the Deceiver are both probably my favorite songs in the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, people heard those songs and they're like, those songs are 20 out of 10, but the chapter's only 1 out of 10. I guess I can give it a 10. No, I'm just
Sure,
kidding.
sure, Clock, sure. And I would like to show off, just in case you guys don't know, this map is heavily inspired by another Thracia map. I think you guys know exactly which one.
Yep.
Honestly, probably my favorite Thracia map too. What a coincidence.
It is. It's this one, Chapter 14 of Thracia. You can see the similarities. I mean, they're almost a mirror image of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Such a cool map too. East Lake
I will say
Your
this,
map
though,
is way
the
more
geo-
interesting. The
Oh,
Thracia
okay.
map is just like a block.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
the
going to
house
say
will
the
get much
geography
better
is
than
not
Holtmeyer.
nearly as good.
yeah, and it's completely cucked by unit cap.
Also,
So,
you don't have enemy green units. That's a point in your favor.
So, Mangs, we need to talk about the fact that now that Rebellion Saga is out, when is the Great Ancestor going to show up on Chapter 29 and kill a few people before wandering off again? Huh?
Good point. Good
The Great Guardian of Aurora, he needs to make his appearance. What do you think about that, PH? I know he's your favorite character.
I like him way more now. I think Rebellion Saga helped him a lot.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We have 10 more maps to rank. Looks like we might come up on 3
wow.
hours. Yeah, like 13 maps, I guess. But yeah, let's get through it, guys. It is time for Rebellion Saga, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright, do we want to
I will
guess the
stick
first
around.
one?
I will stick around for the first 3 maps because those are what I've played, and I'm leaving after that. I don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, same.
Well, you don't know if the first 3 maps are going to be the 3 first map.
Alright. Worst map,
fair
I
enough.
guess
Whatever.
6-1.
6-1, really?
I think I agree with him. I think people would probably rate that one the lowest because the others are pretty good, honestly.
Oh, well,
Okay.
3B's got to be the worst one, right? Come on, guys. It's got to be the worst.
That 3B is really nice.
Let's see what the worst map of Rebellion Saga is. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
I am not surprised.
I am not
I
surprised.
didn't actually play this one. I played 9A.
Dude, this map is so good though. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Give it a few more months. If this survey had been done 6 months from now, I think this chapter would have been rated higher. Look, this chapter is the same as chapter 20 of Andaron Saga. The first time you play it, you feel violated. But when you figure it out, it's actually a lot of fun. When I did my stream, I played this on PH mode, which made it Fog of War. Dude, I had so much fun with this chapter. This chapter is so oppressive. I love it. Like, everything on this map kills you. Everything. You don't feel safe anywhere.
Just
I
to be
think
clear, this is the map where things go boom, right?
this is the map where Alexander rigs the entire city to kill you. He sends children at you. He sends burning horses at you. He sends balloons at you with bombs. He puts every barrel on this map as a chance to blow up. There are assassins in the houses. Everything on this map will kill you. And I love it. It's so much fun. But I may be in the minority here. Apparently people didn't like it.
This map turned out exactly how we wanted it to turn.
Yeah.
And I am glad for every person that gave it a 0 or 1. Because it achieved exactly what I wanted it to achieve.
And here's the thing. You can skip this. It's an optional chapter. And we even tell you many times, you don't have to play this. It's very unfair. Would you still like to play it? But I guess reverse psychology.
Not on PH mode. Not on PH mode.
People don't read.
You know, I've never played this. I think I want to go hide in the closet.
Yeah.
Hearing all of this.
It's a very... this is PH with no limitations, basically.
Well,
So literally peak.
And you,
let's give credit where credit is due, okay? Monks, who made the pitfalls?
That was me. I added the pitfalls.
Nameless? Nameless?
What?
Who put the horse on the roof?
Myself.
Exactly.
But
Animal cruelty.
I get why people didn't like this map because it absolutely annihilated them on their first playthrough, and that was very much what it was designed to do. So,
I am legally.
let's see Ephraim first, and then Seb.
I am legally not allowed to call this what it is.
Okay, Seb.
Independence of anything related to gameplay, I think that speaks for itself. I don't like this one narratively nearly as much as 9A. Of like the Samuel and Gideon reunification, and then Octavia versus Varg. I think 9A is way stronger of a narrative.
Agreed.
Is why I would personally prefer it over 9B.
Yeah, Gideon clashing on the plains with his father, like riding alongside Samuel, is way cooler. All right. Well, if no one else has anything to say, let's move
I
on.
want to say something.
Yeah, Nameless.
Two things. Narratively, the ending is horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, a knife in. Okay. The second one, pitfalls.
Yep. Maybe
Yeah.
we shouldn't have added pitfalls. Maybe it was too much.
I
Yeah.
shouldn't allow you to do that. I was gonna tell you to not do it.
Yeah.
Because it was me that made the pitfall, so
Yeah.
I didn't done it.
Yeah.
Have it here.
I agree. It was too much, but oh well, it is what it is.
I have
Harry
fun
for
with
the
3B
fans,
isn't the-
by the way.
If 3B isn't the next one, I'm leaving.
Okay. All right.
My issue with this map is we don't get a spear garden in this game.
Agree. Yeah.
This map would have been the perfect opportunity. Yeah, you get the spear garden and the gladiolus as a very good reward.
Hubert before he became fat.
We should have made Demetrius Beargarden.
He is.
He's not. He's just a soldier.
He is, but he's a commoner.
There's appeal in that.
Yeah, but if he could use the gladiolus, that'd be kind of cool. I would like that.
I agree. Make him fun.
All right, let's move on to the second worst map of Rebellion Saga. Oh,
What?
I'm not even.
This is so underserved. This is wow. Wow.
I can immediately explain this one. Nobody has played this chapter is why they rated it lowly.
Yeah, this was the least rated map. When I looked through it, it was a ton of blank ratings. But I think it just comes down to one thing. People don't like stealth maps, and I just wanted to make a stealth map. I just wanted to try. I wanted to see if I could do it. And I think no matter how good you make a stealth map, it's just people won't like a stealth map.
It was also the escort map.
Yeah. But
This is such.
people
This
don't
is such a
understand
good
how
map.
much Vividera and I worked to create the battle quote, or to create the event where silencing a soldier calls a specific battle quote. You have no idea. We worked on a week, for a full week on that. It is so hard to do that. You got to do so much code, because finding a generic on the map, finding the coordinates of the generic that you are attacking, and silencing him without, like, if you don't know Firebolter, you don't know, but it's like, I'm just telling you, it's a marvel we were able to do it.
Yeah.
Props to Vividera. But yeah, I wanted a map where you have to silence guards and kill them and move around. That's all.
It was definitely a very impressive map technically. That's something I'm not gonna deny.
Yeah, I'll say I'll quote my friend Donlot on this one, and I guess we can end on this skill issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People just couldn't play it.
I love this map narratively. Like, it's a Helios last year where you free some of the prisoners that you know of Andaron Saga, like the traumatized children.
Yep.
Jesse and Ned. You see young John, you see John's son, Eric, which is mentioned in Andaron Saga.
Mm-hmm. And Helios indirectly saves everyone by harming Alvaro and releasing his guards, setting his progress back several years. If it wasn't for Helios' actions, Jaka and Baudimon would have met, Jaka would have met an army of Harbingers in Andaron Saga and lost. So, it's a consequential chapter, but I get why people don't like it. Stealth chapter, it's fine. We can move on.
Helios giving Jesse the lucky knife, great moment. Though.
That's real. That was I think, I don't remember who added that. I think it might have been Henry. All right, third most hated map in Rebellion Saga.
This is another stealth map, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is also going to be a case of no one played this.
Yeah.
I watched Zev play this. Wasn't it Zev? Yeah, I watched you play this.
I think I was the first person to stream 10x and 11x.
Yeah,
Holy
I guess
shit.
so.
Twas me.
Okay, well, it's 3 o'clock. I gotta go. You guys have a good
3 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand why people don't like this.
I think this map should be last.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad map. But I think this map should be last because it's obviously
It's a playable.
secret
It's a
map in a
playable
secret
cutscene.
map.
It's a playable cutscene.
exactly. It's like chapter 32 for Andaron Saga, who should be last as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfectly fine for what they are.
Mhm.
I like this chapter.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I made it, so. All right, let's move on. Unless anyone has anything they want to say. Nope. All right. Next map.
There we go.
Finally.
It's
Oh my god.
I can explain this one.
Yeah.
It's low because you play it the same way every time.
Agree. There's no room for different, like, for changing up your strategy. I agree.
It's a bit of a puzzle. Yeah.
I want to start, please.
Yeah, sure, Donald.
I absolutely hated this map when I first played it because of the simple reason that everything up till here feels so perfect, and then this kind of it's like a line that goes directly down.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because, I mean, you mentioned it was the least tested chapter, I think?
Yeah.
So that explains it. But there's just so many things which are so cryptic and
Extremely,
it's technically optional, but you get so many good rewards from it that it kind of makes it necessary, or not necessary, but you want to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, this one felt it was like, so to explain this history of this map, this wasn't supposed to be in the game. The original 6.2 had this map at the top of it, and Baudimon was just a green unit fighting against reinforcements coming towards him. That's all. And then Baudemont charged over the river, and that was it. So this map was just a cutscene that was playing above the chapter 6.2. Then PH was like, that sucks. No one wants to see green units fight. Let's make a chapter out of it. And I was like, okay. But because we didn't really spend a lot of time on this map, and also because like you have Baudemont's squad and they're level 1, and it's kind of like hard to, I don't know. This was just a challenge. We're trying to rework it before in the next release, and maybe we can make it better. We'll see. But I think it's a hard map to salvage, honestly, because of its layout. We're stuck with this layout too because we can't change it. If we change the layout, we change the geography in Andaron Saga. So we're stuck with this.
I think this is not that bad now that it's cleaned up. But yeah, it's never going to be the best map, and it's not meant to be. It's a very simple chapter in essence.
There is one
Small
thing.
adventure.
There is one thing we could do though, and it just kind of struck me now. So that we could just move it up to the northern bridge.
Oh, make an entire chapter out of chapter 9, basically.
Yep.
Is what you mean.
You could also like zoom
Yeah,
it in, basically.
Could zoom it in, yeah, but some people might not like that perspective change.
No.
Yeah, and it would mean it would be a very, very simple chapter of just 2 or 3 big bridges, and that's it.
We'll see what we can do with it, but yeah, I understand why people didn't like it. And too many good rewards, which is why in the second wave DLC that we're releasing soon, I'm giving players who skip this an Eternal Seal. The reason I'm doing this is just so that people can skip it without feeling bad. It's important, because when people don't like skipping out on rewards, giving them something good for not playing this map might also be a good idea. But yeah, let's move on.
I do have
gives
one
Rachel
more thing I
chapters
want to
10 out of 10.
that does come to mind.
Yeah, Dunlop.
I'm not a fan of the fact that you're kind of encouraged to send Dimitri or Alan this way.
Yeah.
Because it means that usually you just will never see them in the final map.
Oh yeah,
And
but
I find that a
Dunlop,
bit boring.
you don't know this, but the PH just made a change to this map. You can send Dimitri and Alan down with the boat.
Yeah, I've heard about this and I'm a huge fan of it, but I
Yep.
just wanted to mention that was one of the other things I didn't like, so I'm glad it got changed.
Yep, absolutely.
Makes
And the
it a lot
boat,
better.
by the way, in the new reworked edition, the boat just joins you now. No cryptic shit. You just get it. And you can just send a unit. There's no hidden quest behind it. So I think that's going to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next map. Shrine of Secrets! PH's baby!
So
Bit early.
this map shares the history of a few other maps in Andaron Saga where monks makes a chapter and I have to rework it.
Yeah, my initial chapter
But-
sucked.
I think it's a fine map, but how to explain this?
Also, once again, I am noticing something. I'm noticing that we are using an old map in this presentation. I'm gonna bring up
Yeah, I
the new
was
one.
noticing the shrines are missing completely from
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the new one. Yeah, keep going, PH.
I think the issue with this is that people on first playthrough, they don't use the shrines at all. They don't realize the statues are usable.
Yeah.
That's because they don't know. Nothing tells them.
Yeah, no,
that's
the
wrong,
game tells
friend.
you.
The game does tell you, but people just don't read.
Yeah.
The game literally tells you, but people
But yeah,
don't.
now there is a simple change. We are going to make them highlight. We are going to highlight the statues at the start of the chapter a second time after the talk.
Yeah.
Use this. Use this. We have to.
But yeah, this
But
is
yeah,
how the map looks
this
now.
is why. And I hope on repeat that people will play the chapter over than a defense map and use the shrines.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course they figure it out, but some people really don't read, and they get killed by the shiners, and they don't realize after getting game over that they can use Morty to use the shrines.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Yeah, I
And
know.
sadly,
I
think
watched
this
several.
has
I watched several live streamers play this, and it's like when the tutorial text pops up, which is unskippable, by the way. The tutorial text pops up on screen, and it goes, "Move Morty to the statues. Click on the statues to see what they do." They just go, "Yeah, whatever," and they skip through it, and they just don't read it, and then they're like, they play the chapter, and they just don't use the statues, and I'm like, I don't know, man. What are we supposed to do? Like,
I mean,
how obvious
small
should we
thing I
be?
would say.
do you expect random players to read?
No.
People don't read.
I remember one thing. During beta testing, these weren't shrines. They were these little blue flames.
Dragon veins,
and
yeah.
those were instantly recognizable to
Yeah,
me.
we have
Like,
to. It's so sad to unlock because we had to remove the Dragon Vein patch because it was so buggy and it kept breaking the game.
Like
Okay.
in my last test run, 1 week before the game released, yeah, I said, yeah, doesn't work.
Yeah,
Like,
all the
it
statues broke constantly. The Dragon Vein patch just sucks.
So yeah, huge shout out to PH that he actually carried the map how it is now.
Yeah.
Because
I had to remake all the code for it 3 days before release.
Yeah, you did. That was hectic.
Remember
Yeah,
Nameless? That was fun. Huh?
huge shout out.
Was there?
This was fun. We had fun, Nameless.
We did.
Couldn't you theoretically give the statues like maybe a faint light or something? As
We
an
might be
auto
able to
time?
do that, yeah. It's up to Nameless if
I think
he's able to
that
do
would
it.
Probably help.
Nameless, you have 4 days before next.
Why
Anyway.
always to the last minute? Why?
All right, let's move on to number 11. Hungwick Stampede. Okay, let's
I am
go.
surprised
How
this
is
wasn't
this not
bad.
lower?
This
Oh,
map
this
used to
is
be
lower.
so much
Because we're
harder.
bad at the game, Ephraim.
So this
The
is.
dice bomb.
What was that?
I love
It's
this
because
map.
we're bad at. It's because we're bad at the game, Ephraim.
Dude, I love this map. I understand people
Same.
cry about it. I love it. I think it's fun.
I love it too.
You know what's fun is that when I play this map on Lunatic, I can split the team into three teams, get all the rewards, beat everything, and get out just fine. And then people, they have their whole team go one path on normal mode and they still lose.
Yep,
This
it's
is
crazy.
the ultimate. This is kill issue the chapter. This is you can tell. How good a Fire Emblem is, on how it tackles the chapter. On
This chapter requires you to do so many things. It requires you to use vision to light torches. It requires you to, if you want to split up, you shouldn't, but it requires you to know how to split up your army. It requires you to think ahead and and also be very mindful of the terrain of the enemies, because the stalkers, you cannot hit them in a peak. It's so unreliable to hit them in a peak. You have to draw them off the peaks to kill them. This is what most people just don't understand when they play this chapter. They send Ragnar, who they're just used to sending at everything, like Brave Axe Ragnar, and they're like, oh, he just kills everything. They attack a stalker in a peak. He has a 20% chance to hit. He misses, and they go bad game.
Yeah, and I had to remove the shining bows.
The shining bows, yeah, which would have murdered him.
It's also worth noting that originally the light runes in this chapter lasted longer.
2 turns. They lasted 2 turns. Yeah, it was very, very bad.
Yeah.
I remember also my first time playing this map, and you all, most of people here were in this chat room as well, and I got to the end, and I remember that PH did with extra light runes at the end just to
They're still
play
there.
with us. Yeah, they're still there, but they were a lot more oppressive, and it was it was so
Yeah.
hard. People
The
don't know
final
how hard
approach-
the chapter was actually.
Yeah, like the Falcon Knights that spawned. Those are terrible. Those were really.
They could have 20 speed. That was
You know-
very...
At first, I make chapters that are adapted to me. Then I have to scale down for you, plebs.
That's how it goes. All right, number 10.
You were so. PH was so mad when I did the Helios blast on his chapter. This chapter, he was so mad about it. I remember that. But I went there, get the Master Seal, the Armor Slayer, and promoted Helios on this map, and just blasted with him.
True.
It was glorious.
All right, top 10. Starting with number 10, which is In Utter Darkness. I understand why this didn't get rated super highly, but I think this is the best chapter you ever made, PH.
I think this is a great chapter. Thank you, Nameless, for all the work you did in it, by the way. This is very much team effort on this one. This was a chapter that took a lot of time, of course, because, making so many units is not fun.
Mhm.
Well, it's actually very fun to try to figure combos that you can throw at the player to kill them. It's always very fun for me. and try to creep up the difficulty, add more and more waves, and make sure they come in a way with the bosses that will make it interesting for the player. I had to change up things a lot of time to make it.
And you know what, PH? You know what, PH? I think no one has been able to cheese the chapter yet. We worked so hard to try and find, because there's always someone who finds a way to make the chapter go on infinitely. Like they break weapons and choke up the enemy. This chapter, you cannot cheese it. If there is a way to cheese it, it has not been discovered yet. You have to play it.
For sure.
You have to play it properly. If you let the enemies box up, you will lose. And that's the biggest challenge with designing a Fire Emblem Defense chapter ever.
Yeah, no issue.
Question. Has NH played this?
I'd like him to. I don't know if he plays Fire Emblem, but I would like to see him try. If anyone were to find a way to cheese him, it'd be him.
Now, I'll explain the score in a simple way, is that most people want to move on and play the final map and see the epilogue.
Yep.
Because, this is not a map concept for everyone, and some people really disliked playing as the Lightbringers, and I understand that.
Though, to be fair, PH, it's still a 7.26, so even though it's top 10, it's still pretty highly rated.
This is a very... I'm very critical of my own chapters. For example, in Andaron Saga, I only gave a 10 to one chapter. And that's 31, by the way.
Yeah.
And this chapter, I gave it a 10. I think I really did a good job on this one. But
you did.
The concept itself is not for everyone.
Yeah.
But I love what we did. And the small bit of characterization we gave to the Lightbringers there are also very good, I think.
Anyone else has anything they want to say for this one?
I like the community aspect of this map. Like, the community can now duke it out who's the best. Now it's PH.
Yeah, it's there's some insane, like, PH is at first place at 98 turns, then we have someone at 95. It's crazy that people were able to get this far.
I like the conversations that the Lightbringers have with one another, especially Lucian. He's like my favorite Lightbringer. I love this guy. I want to know more about him. No, it's not because of Aether.
Seb likes the Aether guy. Oh, what a surprise.
Shut up. No, I think he's neat.
Yeah. All right. Number 9. Nightfall. Okay. All right. Let's go.
This is both Nightfalls wrapped together, right?
Yes. Yeah. They only get one rating.
Okay.
This is my lowest rated map for this game, by the way.
Really?
At a 7, yeah.
Wow. I think Alasdair's appearance is what makes this chapter. Without that, this chapter would have been a flop.
I want to shout out Cynthia as well. Like, short before release, she made those two Alasdair pictures.
Yes, I have them right here. It is probably the coolest artwork she has ever done, and I don't think that's... I don't even have it in my folder. That's how new it is. My goodness. Yeah, the Albert thing. The Albert coming out of the woods. Coolest CG she ever made. But I will say, this chapter, if it wasn't for Albert, I don't think anyone would have liked it. And Galahad. Playable Galahad does help.
I probably only disliked the map because when I beta tested it, all the time when the Centris went upwards after the Alasdair event, the game just broke. Like, it crashed, and I had to play this map 7-8 times.
The crashes. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
This sending in a fix.
Map gave us so many headaches. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to talk about it. Alright.
This map has so many coding issues. This is why I hate it, I think.
Alright, let's move on to number 8. Florian's Lake. Okay.
Simple and nice map. I have nothing else to say.
As PH calls it, free XP.
Yeah, no, people don't understand the gimmick in the center. No one has ever used this idea.
Yeah, no one. It's crazy.
What do you mean?
I have an issue with this map.
I did.
What,
The
Noreen?
blue-haired guy. Nathan. I hate that guy.
He's the best unit in the game. What are you talking about? I love him. He's so much fun to use. He's like a double-edged sword. More crit for you, more crit for enemies. It's so fun.
It can actually be very fun, I agree.
Like, Nathan is amazing if you kill all enemies before, but if you don't, then he's like a super risky unit. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool little chapter. I created this one. I like it. Captain Bill is a cool unit, I think.
There's one thing I really love about this chapter as well. The cave at the top, where the brigand throws a rock at you. That has killed so many players. It's funny.
Really?
You can get killed by it.
It deals 1 damage.
Yeah, that rock has like a death counter of at least 5 that I know of.
That's so funny.
It has saving. It has saving.
That's so funny. That's.
I had no idea it could kill you.
I also like
There's
the
one thing I
middle
really like in
part
this map.
a
It's
lot.
the treasure at the
Padarino?
top right.
Padarino, that's up.
The middle part is actually really nice. The only thing that a lot of people didn't like that you had to use a fortress to get the bridges out, and you can abuse this so much. That's probably what PH meant. Juggling the Carolina reinforcements back and forth by using the bridges.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
You can stall this map so much.
Yeah.
And also, like a good memory I had when we had our draft races here, like a long while ago.
Oh yeah, we did do a lot of drafts. That's true.
Yeah, it was really fun. A lot of people didn't knew about Celeste's strengths, but she can like run through the chapter, like without a problem, and it was like a lot of people ran away with good wins because of that.
All right, anyone else have anyone to want to say?
Yeah, one small thing.
Download
I really like how Dimitri is introduced here, because he actually feels very, very strong. I've had many cases where he was maybe one of the only units who was really on the middle island, and he can pretty much take it all on himself. And then I accidentally placed him in range of the boss, who's a promoted unit. I was like, oh my god, he's dead. And then he just survives. He can take it at base, and that is a great way to show him off.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I buffed him a lot, so it could be fun.
Seb?
I really liked the callback to Chapter 1 with Rosalina going to the top right and getting Boogie's treasure.
Yeah,
like
that was
if
a
you paid
great
attention
addition.
and you remembered it.
That was a
like,
great
that
addition.
Feels nice. It's a reward for paying attention.
Yeah, that's great. All right, let's move on to number 7. Lightsfall. Okay.
Okay, this confused me. This is the best map in both games.
I think this is the second best chapter Monks has ever made, besides 31.
It was fun to make this, but
I think it's really good. I think it's very stressful for a lot of players.
yeah, I watched some streamers get absolutely creamed on this because they went lunatic blind.
Yeah.
This chapter is not meant for blind playthroughs on lunatic. The time requirement is very tight.
Also, your best friend on this map is the longbow.
Yeah, for sure.
I love to use it. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's I had a lot of fun designing this map. Really fun to like be pushed forward. I wanted kind of like a shrine battle, but like this time around you're up against a true Lightbringer who really knows how to utilize the shrine, and you see how powerful it is. Mortimer in Andaron Saga is still a bit of a bastard and he's not like a super strong Lightbringer, but now you see like what a true-blooded Lightbringer can do in Shadow Shrine, and that's kind of what I wanted to convey. And props to Nameless here for making the Shining Soldiers. Great touch.
I love this chapter because it reminds me of XCOM.
Oh yeah?
Like, this chapter is XCOM incarnate. Like,
oh yeah, it's a bomb
destroy the
defusal, yeah.
target,
Yeah.
And you go further. So
True.
that's why I love it.
I think this is really a great chapter. Honestly, most props to you. I think this was truly after chapter 5, which I think is great as well. And by the way, it hasn't shown yet, so
Yep.
I think not that many people.
which is a big
dislike
surprise
it.
because I was almost sure chapter 8 would be ranked first,
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
or 6-2.
But let's be real, we're on 7, but the ranking is still almost 7.5, so it's still a greatly rated map. It just means the rest of the maps are really good.
Also,
Yeah.
it's the climax of the story of Rebellion Saga.
It is. It kind of feels like the final battle in many ways.
It should, because this is the final battle from the story.
Yeah.
Afterwards, yeah, it's wrapping up.
Yep. All right. Anyone else?
I think it's really funny seeing people not have any other weapons in Maria's inventory whenever she gets teleported away. That's quite funny.
It is. All right. Up to number...
PH mode of this chapter is the best.
Maria?
What was that, Ephraim?
Do they not equip Maria?
I mean, if she only has the Hellfire, then she can't really do much with the Stiletto, so... You give her a Bolgadon, that's what I do anyway. Anyway, let's move on to number 6. Boom.
There we go. There is the hated chapter.
Well, yeah, it is. I'm surprised it's not lower, because, you know, Golem fight. But it's an exploration chapter.
Hate this chapter?
I don't know. Maybe.
I thought it was one of the best ones. It's awesome.
There are some people that take issue with the boss fight.
Yeah, like, what's his name? Sap Blaze just talks endless shit about this boss fight. I get it, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I just wanted a boss fight that took a while. Like, because Fire Emblem bosses are just like, you kill them in a turn, right? And they're dead. Even Engage tried to fix this by giving bosses 2 health bars, and you still burst them down in a turn. Like, I feel like at this point, we could give bosses 10 health bars, and people would still burst them down in a single turn. Because at the end of the day, it is just so easy to kill things in Fire Emblem when you got strong units. Like, your units just deal too much damage for a single enemy to be threatening. Thus, I made the Golem, who has a bit of
in
an
a way.
Hmm?
I am glad I didn't teach you the method to make a unit respawn after death.
Yeah.
Because this is so much better.
Yeah. I could have just given the Golem 3 health bars from Engage and, you know, just left it at that, but I felt like that was cheap.
Yeah.
It was a really nice execution with the shields, and the chapter overall gives you a lot of experience as well. To level up some of the scrubs to get to the promotion level as well. That's a really nice touch. And something that I also like really fondly remember is Dimitri with Provoke back then.
Yeah, he did have Provoke in the beta. That completely broke the fight. It completely broke the fight.
Like you could just sit with him there and tank every single turn with him. It was so beautiful, but it had to be removed. It had to be removed.
It had to. And having Galahad join you in the fight against the Golem was pretty epic. I think.
This is such a cool chapter for Galahad. Of course.
Yeah.
This was made for him.
Yeah, and he's the only reason I even could create the boss in that way, because I needed a boss that dealt so much damage that you couldn't tank it properly, except with Galahad. So he was necessary for this chapter, for this boss to work.
The tension in the actual boss fight is really nice as well, because eventually you get to the point of you have to start diverting your resources to deal with the ads that are spawning as well. You still have to keep rushing the boss. You can't divert too much, you can't divert too little.
The biggest complaint people had was not being able to kill the gas clones, and I get it. It's not fun to have an unkillable enemy. I was contemplating making little air vents, which you pull them into, they died. But I wanted them to act as a bit of a timer, like you have to kill the golem before the room fills up with gas. But I get why some people thought it was cheap that they couldn't be killed.
I remember you have done that actually with the traps, but they broke the game.
Yes,
even, like,
that's true, Paterino. That's true. Trap data is just really messy.
Like anyone who's listening right now, like your units can die on them as well, and they just be in your party with 0 HP.
Yeah. It's messy. It's messy. Could have fixed it with events, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the top 5. Chapter 1. Okay.
Didn't we have this picture before?
No. If I'm not mistaken, this is the exact position Chapter 1 of Andaron Saga was in, 5th.
You might be right. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this is just Andaron Saga Chapter 1 2.0, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. And yes, putting Boogie in was pure fan service. I don't care. I wanted to start off with a fun note.
You know what's fan service?
What?
Vulture.
Yeah, we have vultures in this map. That's true.
I think Chapter 1 of Rebellion Saga is the concept of never change a running system. If it works, it works.
Yeah, it is almost shamelessly a copy, like even the way the units come in, but it works, so I figured why not, you know?
Basically, everything that has been said for Andaron Saga Chapter 1 can be applied here.
That's it.
Almost everything. There is one thing I do want to say, and that this chapter had a little bit more variance in the stats.
Yeah, that's been
And I
fixed
found
actually,
that
based on
some-
your feedback.
It's been
Stonlock.
fixed?
Yep.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I've set the
Okay.
speed manually on the warriors now.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay,
That
that's
was
a
that
lot
was that was
better.
fixed. That was one of the first things I did after your stream. Was I set the speed
Oh,
manually.
really?
Yeah. But it's that being said, Donlot, that only occurs on challenge mode unique enemies.
Ah, okay, I see.
Because you don't face warriors normally. That was a challenge mode thing. So that's why it was so untested.
But I seem to recall that there was some other enemies as well.
Yeah,
but
there's
maybe
a
I'm just
few.
imagining
Yeah,
things.
Alinora doesn't always double. That is true. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Other than that, I agree.
Let's move on to number 4. Merchant's Gambit, of course. I'm
Choice
surprised.
paralysis.
I'm surprised this one is higher. I thought people would hate this map.
Your wife certainly did.
It's good to get the flirt with Fred.
Wait, this is
Yeah.
not chapter 2.
Yes, it is.
Where are the ballistas?
True. True.
You should totally give Jack the Devil Axe.
I guess, yeah, people, there's a lot of stuff to do on this map. A lot of side quests. I think people like that.
Yeah,
think this map
definitely.
is- I think this map is a lot better telegraphed if you don't know the secrets. You get on a bit better. As soon as you start to know the secret events, you kind of backtrack a lot. Ragnar going back
It becomes
to
a
the
chore,
beach.
yeah, you gotta do all the events. This is true.
The top right is also kind of trapped to do like lose a bit of time, but it's wonderful. I love it. I love it.
This feels like a Vestaria Saga map. Doesn't it?
Oh.
Has anyone played
yourself
has anyone
down.
played Vestaria Saga?
I played
no,
the
not
first
yet.
few
It's very
chapters,
high on my list.
but,
They all play like this. There's like tons of side quests on all the maps.
And yet another case of Manx saying, "Oh, Kaga with his stupid ideas," and then coming up with the exact same ideas himself.
Shut up!
Stupid.
I thought of it first! Damn you,
I
Kaga.
have to actually play Vestaria Saga to prove you all wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do it.
I do agree with Paterino on this one. I think this chapter is a pretty good indication of like ignorance is bliss to some degree, because if you know everything that like you're supposed to do, you want to do it, and it can really drag the chapter out where it feels like it's a slow chapter that it's not really meant to be one.
Yeah,
Of course,
for
that's
sure.
more on us for just knowing stuff.
True. All right. Anyone else has anything they want to say? PH, you've been quiet.
No, I mean, there is no ballista, so I have nothing to say.
Okay. Top 3, ladies and gentlemen. Top 3. Right of the... I am so surprised by this.
Number 10 overall.
You mean Clash 2.0?
Wow. Oh, by the way, the map is completely wrong. It looks so bad in this version.
Oh my god, yes. I'm so
awesome.
sorry. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, this is all
Yeah,
wrong.
Yeah. You know, I made changes to the layout.
Yeah, I will try and
and then
find
let's clean
the...
them up because
Yeah, I'm gonna try and find the the updated version, because yeah, this is
Oh my God.
really old.
look how sad Castle Speargarden is.
The Darkholme Castle being so much more impressive.
It's kind of
It's just a
sad, yeah.
summer house.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. It isn't even Darkholme Castle. This is just something else.
Yeah.
Darkholme Castle is on the.
this is so I
west
guess this
side.
is kind of a cool thing, like people get to see like they get to see kind of like how the map used to look, I guess. But yeah, this I'm surprised this is so high, because like I feel like this is the map we put the least amount of effort into by
Yeah.
far.
Well,
I-
you did, but I put some effort into
I love
it.
this map.
The rescue chain.
So, this is a chapter where, Monks did the chapter, then I reworked it. And
Yeah.
I think the rework was pretty fun to play overall. It's a very simple map. It's my take on Clash, of course.
Yeah, that's the whole gimmick. It's even called... I mean, it was supposed to be called Roast Knight's Clash or something, but I guess that got changed.
This is a chapter
so that's why
where there was a bit of clash between me and Monks because he keeps snuffing it.
It was too hard.
which which pisses me off to no end because this map is really not hard.
True.
But he keeps nerfing it every time he goes on the road.
I did.
Every time you played it.
And ultimately, right now, I think it's really, really, really easy in Lunatic, and it's barely different in hard mode on the normal mode, which is bad.
Well, it's the third
I'm
most liked
surprised
map
to see
though,
this.
so something went right.
People
of
like
course.
Sam and getting to be able to go together. Like, independent of the gameplay itself, the story on this one hits really well.
I nerfed your chapter, PH, because this is supposed to be the easy route. And I didn't want people to have to choose between this or 9B if this was super hard.
People are never right.
But it's also the Samuel event is so memorable. Even when it showed off like a long while ago. It is so good how he rides in, immediately impales the unit, shouts like rallies up the units. It's just wonderful storytelling by
But
using
unit has
gameplay.
boots, by the way.
Yeah, of course it
Oh.
does. Of course. Also, I gotta say, like, the character of Octavia, I have never before seen the writers take something that wasn't even, like, Octavia was just supposed to be some random Darkholm that joined you, like a bit of a Goto character. She was supposed to be a sage. Then Hanako took her and the writers just had a feast, like field day with her. Like they just she's a vampire now actually, and also like she'll eat your party members, and she is like floats around, and she's a Gremory, and wow, like I'm like
silver weapons.
At the end of the day, I didn't recognize her. I was like, what happened here? Like I wasn't even involved in the making of Octavia.
You know what? I blame one person for this.
Hanako?
No.
Zelda Crafter?
I blame Zelda Crafter for this.
Yeah, probably.
But for all the good reasons.
I find it funny
My man, I love you.
Norin?
that shortly after Octavia was made a vampire, people start discussing that Dawn is a vampire in the Andaron Saga code, which I find very interesting. Because now we have a right good contrast about that.
According to Andaron Saga Discord, everyone is a Lightbringer though, so you know, they'll have their little theories. Okay,
Possible dialogues she has.
are we ready for the second best map? What do we think it is?
What's left?
There is only two maps
10
left, which are
and
chapter
6-2.
10 and 6-2.
Wait, 6-2. Yeah, I bet that's that.
Yeah,
It's
6-2 next.
Okay. So it's one of those two. It's either chapter 10 or 10.2, or sorry, 10 or 6.2. And ladies and gentlemen, the second best map is Lights Round.
Really? No,
Lights.
I was so close to a double first place.
I was almost sure 6-2 will be first, so...
So yeah, the chapter where everyone dies. This is... I wanted to remake the original ending of Andaron Saga. That's why I made Rebellion Saga. From the start, I knew this was the chapter I wanted to be the final one. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I know it pissed off a lot of people, because it's like, oh boy, I'm going to watch all my
There
guys
is an
die.
issue with it.
And what is that?
And this issue is bugs, memory bugs.
Yeah.
This sadly I think has reduced the rating of this chapter.
Maybe a little bit.
This will be fixed in the next version, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to reduce the size of the map a bit. There's too much effects going on.
Yeah.
You can play this chapter without any issue, but sadly there is a lot of memory.
The biggest issue, I think, thematically or like gameplay-wise, is that there are so many people that Cathis cannot nuke because they have plot arbor. So if you field just units that are immune, this chapter becomes very easy.
Yes.
Bit of a weird thing workaround, but I will say, like, Cathis going Super Saiyan and like starting to nuke people, it's very memorable. And the CG that Sigrid drawn, so amazing.
The fact that all the units have their descriptions changed, there's portrait changes.
And they react to each other's deaths. They react to each other. That, I think, that was Hanako's idea. What a great idea. Like, Ragnar will lament when Callum dies, and Callum will do the same for Ragnar. Callum will scream when Yvonne dies. Like, that shit you can only do on a map where everyone is supposed to die.
it's heart-wrenching. It hurts so much to see all the characters you have kind of start to laugh through all the shit.
And this chapter, I think,
Died
made
as well.
Cathis the most hated character in the entire universe.
No.
No?
Maria, my man.
Oh,
It's still
after
Maria.
After Maria.
I think like Maria, yeah, absolutely deserves it, for my opinion. But Caiaphas, he falls into a similar problem as Samuel in Andaron Saga. His actions are really well explained. Why he's doing it. He's so full with anger. Okay, he's kinda like this decision making wasn't the best. He had this talk with Alistair.
Yeah.
But and was mad. He was so mad. He wanted Gideon to die. He didn't hear any reason. He wanted this rebellion to no end. And
Yeah.
it was well executed. I loved it.
Yeah. And it's a fun... some people have complained that this map feels a bit like a playable cutscene, and I understand that criticism, but I think it works.
One suggestion.
Yeah, Dolan?
On unique bosses, you remove the plot armor. On unique bosses challenge mode, you remove the plot armor that many units have.
I like that idea. I'll do that. That's easy. Just give him a new AI.
Goodness.
That's Dolan, great idea. My goodness, that's an amazing idea. I love it.
There is a new
I think
event.
I would
Case-
enjoy the map a lot more if it was like that.
Yeah, no, I
personally,
love
so-
it. I'm totally gonna do that, and it's such an easy fix.
Okay.
too.
I didn't tell monks, but there is a new event in case you are playing all challenge mode
Yeah.
in Lunatic.
What? What did you do?
Samuel is late.
Yeah, he comes to turn later.
No. The turn later is not that. No. Samuel and Bod are not there. You need to route them out.
What?
Yeah.
You're joking. But
No.
you
I'm
can't
not
route
joking.
it. Cathis is invincible.
No, Kefis, he just goes down. He goes limp, as usual, but then you need to beat
You're
everyone
joking.
else. Nope.
You're joking. You're so joking, PH.
Nobody
What are the
plays it.
I
chances?
can hear it in your voice that you're joking. I can always hear it. Like you
Okay.
get a special voice when you lie.
I think this is the evil PH voice. I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Mangs, I think you're underestimating him.
Probably. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and have a look at the final map. The winner! The Turning Tide. I know I say this all the time, but I'm legitimately baffled by this.
Ranked
Same.
number 2 overall.
Like, imagine going from the most hated map from the beta testing to becoming the best map in vote.
What I don't get about this map is that I think it's too long. I think it's way too long.
People like it.
I guess so.
People wanted a playable Randall.
Tomb
Chapter
of
29
Horrors
is
2,
very
like
long as
Boogaloo.
well.
It is too long, and it has Tomb of Horrors mechanics, and yet people love it. I don't get
I
it.
mean, the thing is, you can prepare those Tomb of Horror mechanics. You can't
Yeah.
prepare for Tomb of Horror.
True.
Also,
So much went through this to make it happen. Like so many memorable characters, and I know how much we all played this map, and
Yeah.
how often we have said, "Oh my God, this is bad, this is bad." Oh, we should definitely make it happen. That Gideon, if you're really fast with him and getting over the bridge, he should disable Randall's chain of order just to make this gimmicks to stop.
The most play-tested map in Rebellion Saga, and that's not an overstatement. This map
Yeah.
has been changed and modified and played more than any other map in the game.
So yeah, it was, tested a lot, played a lot, many complaints, then I nuked the chapter.
Yep. I still think it's
So-
too long.
Yes.
Yeah, it probably
it's
is.
very long, but that's fine because it's the only one that is this long, I think.
Yeah. I
If there
just
were
wish
more
Exactly.
maps like this.
I just wish we could split it in two, but it works, I guess.
But
Conquering
I
the
will
castle,
say,
Yeah, Ephraim?
conquering a castle and then defending it.
But
It's
let's-
such a good concept. I love it so much.
It is good, yeah. Ephraim, what were you gonna say?
I wanted to say that I was ecstatic to see a cameo by Admiral Greyfield.
It is, yeah.
Like what?
The original
remember-
Randall gimmick actually was taken straight out of Days of Ruin Ephraim. He would literally disable movement of various classes. He'd be like, archers, stand still, don't move. But the problem with this was that it was terrible.
It was really terrible. Like I bet that's like it wasn't even archers. It was calves all.
Yeah,
Stand
he
still.
would freeze all
Infantry,
your
stand
calves.
still.
Yep, it was
And,
awful.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a
thanks.
little nonsensical for someone who's allegedly trying to win, I guess.
Yeah.
If you want to make another chapter that makes it in the top 1, you just gotta bring Randall back.
Dude, why is Randall so popular? Why?
I don't know.
I
Why
can,
is Makalo
this is actually what I
popular?
wanted to say regarding the final chapter as well as this one. People are ecstatic about playable Randall. He's like the breakout character of Rebellion Saga, more so even than Gideon himself is.
Yeah.
This is Randall's game for the fandom, with all the development he gets from the flashbacks, from the memory prisms, with Kestra, with everything that goes on. When Randall shows up, it is almost his story as much as it is Gideon's. And people just resonate with like the development he's had of feeling abandoned, finding someone, losing that someone. It hits hard and it hits well.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't just because killing him is funny?
Yeah, like Seth said, huge shout out to Henry.
Yeah,
for
Henry's
sure.
great. Henry's great.
Like everything you see from Randall, that's Henry.
Yeah. True.
The
I
pitch
do
maybe
still
can
think-
give.
Yeah, go ahead.
The pitch can maybe give. I also remember like how Davis played the chapter and how disappointed he was not killing Laurel himself.
Yeah.
It
Added
was,
a warning.
I sat there and I was like, yeah, he's kind of true. And you just mentioned it should be maybe like a 2-part chapter. Like it could be made like you kill Laurel yourself, and then the map ends, and then Vesta shows up and says, Laurel, no, you no die for real in a cutscene. The cutscene knife strikes again, and then the next chapter happens. Not much story happens, and then you have a moment of breather, where you can position the
I have
units.
to disagree.
I think it. Oh, okay, that would be just my pitch.
Okay.
I think it's very important to make it a single chapter, but it's like
It
chapter
needs
13.
to be that way, yeah. But it's just, I wish it wasn't as long. That's all. But I get it. I don't think there was a way we could have gotten around that. But yeah, that's my only complaint.
This is a 24-turn map.
Yep.
At most.
And like a 3-hour map at least, for most people at least.
This is the only time in Rebellion Saga that we ask you to do that.
Yeah.
This is why it works.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's
aside from
thematically
chapter
one of the
11,
most important battles of the rebellion. It is the deciding. I mean, it's called the turning tide. This is the battle that turns the rebellion around for Thorgrim. So it needs to be big.
there is that small call to event. There is a new unit. There is a generics. There is a lot of things that I could bring back from Andaron Saga in a way for this, which I liked.
Yeah.
Nameless helped me a lot. Tons of work from Nameless.
Yeah, Nameless
this
took
one, the ballistas, etc. I like the side objectives as well. I think this chapter just works very well.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work. Probably the most out of any chapter besides chapter 10 and 11, which were the end game chapters, and they took a long time to make.
True.
But I'm really glad to see that people liked it, because I knew the reaction to this chapter was very good, but from the beta testing, that's not what came out. If that makes sense.
All right, ladies and
Axon
gentlemen.
said it was very good, but yeah.
It is now time. We're going to look at the rankings of Rebellion Saga and Andaron Saga combined. And then I'm going to go through each of you and ask, which game do you think had the highest average rating? Donlot.
Well, I know it's Rebellion Saga because I've been looking at the scores.
Oh,
but
wow. Thanks for spoiling it. My goodness.
I think it is, based on what I've
Oh, you
looked
think?
at.
Okay, you're from?
Yeah, probably Rebellion Saga.
Lemon Tart?
Yeah, my vote's on Rebellion Saga as well.
Nimless?
I've seen.
Norian?
Rebellion Saga has the better quality of maps. That's not an issue with both of them. Like, it's a smaller game, so
True.
we can put more stuff in those maps.
Paterino?
That's the advantage of more.
All your experience went into a Rebellion Saga, so it's also my fault.
PH?
What was the question? I didn't understand it.
Which we're gonna look at the combined rating of both games side by side. Which one do you think comes out on top?
Oh, there was a bunch of maps in Andaron Saga that were below 7.
Yeah.
But even with that, I think Andaron Saga should be a bit higher because it has more maps above 7.5 than...
Seb?
I think it is, in fact, Andaron Saga because it has the higher weighted ones. I personally prefer Rebellion Saga. You guys really have developed a lot. I think it's a better game. They're both great.
Right.
But I think
All
Andaron
right.
Saga may score a little higher.
Andaron Saga, 7.22. Best map, Siege of Holtmeyer. Worst map, Shrouded Shrine. Rebellion Saga, 7.38. Slightly better.
Ooh. That was more even than I thought it was going to be.
It was.
Yeah, same.
I mean, Holtmeyer carried Andaron Saga a lot.
It did, yeah. So they're pretty comparable, but Rebellion Saga just a little bit better. A little bit better. Oh! I'm tired. Oh, no.
Oh, have we come back to the start now?
Yeah. Been almost
let's
4
do it
hours.
again.
I think I said this
pressed
was
the
going to
wrong
take...
button.
I said this was going to take 30 minutes. I guess I am an idiot. This was a lot of fun, guys. To anyone who's watched this far, you're a trooper. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining me on this. It was nice having you here.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Yep, same. Thank you.
And
You're welcome.
I'm looking forward to such a BH response. And I'm looking forward to doing this once again if we ever release a new hack.
I
it'll be
mean,
fun.
another chapter needs to be rated, so
True.
I guess soon.
True.
I look forward to it taking like 6 hours.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.